kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life feels slow, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Daytona International Speedway, home of the thrills of legendary racing. Today we are set for action in the Stacy Strong Cup Series as they get set to make their way around Daytona for the second time this season. I'm Mike Demoni up in the juice booth. Joined with me as usual here on Sunday Night NASCAR is Matt Metler. Matt, man, how's it going?
Mike, it couldn't be going any better. I mean, if this race tonight is anything like we seen last night, folks, strap in, get the popcorn ready, because you're about to witness greatness. I mean, let's go back to last night, Mike. It's like the masterminds at Hollywood scripted that race. Yet we pop bottles again. Another car goes flying. That's going to be the 4 of Josh Berry. A great action-packed race. Then late overtime hits. We talk about a driver, 3 years of tyranny, just nothing going for him. Fired. He's probably at his worst. And like a shining star into the darkness comes a driver that runs in this series by the name of Parker Retzlaff, making his second start, gives this kid a push of the century, able to hold off Kyle Busch at the line and gets his first victory. And I want to say the call by Diffie, probably one you're going to hear about for a long time as well. If we could replicate that tonight, it is going to be epic So make sure you strap in right here for all of 160 laps live on SRM as we get ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, these guys completed their qualifying session. They are now on track doing their little warm-ups. While they're doing that, let's take a look back at last week. Last week they were at Michigan International Speedway, where Neil Pearson was able to bring home the victory as he was able to lead 31 laps. Paul Hill wound up in P2. Eric Papineau back there in third after leading a race leading 61 laps. So that is where they stand as far as that goes. We also look at the point standings. John Rogers, Nolan Hodgins, and Robert Anderson are the top three, all separated by 152 points. But points really don't matter, as after next week we are going to lock in the top 16 drivers. Remember, a win gets you in, so that is what they are going to be looking for. And also, don't forget tonight, the voice of the Stacy Strong Cup Series and Monday Night NASCAR and Tuesday Night Trucks, the one, the only Dave Regal is going to be out there on track. That is the reason why I am up here in the booth. So we'll look to see if that 59 machine is going to have any action here on track.
You know, Mike, I don't see how he's not going to have any action. I mean, whether it's the good type or the bad type, you know, that's yet to be seen. But I can tell you, he's surrounded himself with some great teammates for this race. And remember, this goes back to when SRM was trying to break the 4K barrier as part of the package deal. Dave making good on it tonight as he puts down the boomstick and climbs back into the race car. So we'll be tracking his progress throughout the night as well.
Yeah, he was trying to work his way around the track a little earlier from what I heard, and we'll see if the practice paid off. While we're doing that, let's see if we can bring up qualifying results real quick. So Bobby Anderson is going to be on the pole with Sean Rogers just to his outside. So going to be a tight bunch up there on the front end. But you know, like they say at Daytona and most of these plate races, it doesn't really matter where you start. It's what you can do to avoid the big one here, as they are just about ready to wrap up this warm-up session, and we'll get some drivers up here in the booth.
Yeah, Mike, well said. It's not how you start here. It's all about how you finish here at Daytona. Just like last night, it's all about strategy, specifically where are you in the pack to keep yourself out of harm's way. If you can survive that chaos, you've done, you know, your job as a driver. If you're still on the racetrack with a perfectly clean race car with 3-4 laps to go, you do those types of things, and then you put yourself in contention to potentially conquer Daytona and end up in victory lane.
Yeah, we are looking for 160 laps tonight. They do have 7 sets of tires, and they have stage brakes that are going to come at lap 35 and 95. Weather will definitely cool down as they get rolling into the night. Right now, the track temperature is 84 degrees, ambient air 80 degrees, so that will definitely kind of go down as it works through the night. We'll get jump down here. Hey Bobby, Mike up in the booth. How's it going?
Hey Mike, good.
Well, it looks like you were able to put that 18 machine on the pole. How was the track out there tonight?
Oh, about like it always is. Nice and humid out. So, feeling good so far.
Definitely. Any strategy changes now that you're on the front row?
Yeah, first stage, you know, we'll see how it goes, see how aggressive everyone gets. Probably just try to stay out up front, and then maybe stage 2, might think about dropping back. You guys know the key is to stick around for stage 3 for sure.
Definitely, man. Well, congrats on winning the pole. I'll let you get back down and get strapped in for the race here.
All right, have a good broadcast, guys. Thanks.
And Bobby Anderson, one of the drivers that ran the the full length Cup Challenge last night, he ran 160 laps, got a lot of practice. I'm not surprised he's on the pole here. He was bad fast last night in competition, and something tells me if he can stay out of harm's way, he'll certainly be one of the ones to watch here late.
These guys. Get through the grid real quick. Got Bobby Anderson, Sean Rogers, row 1, row 2, Mike McConville, and Alexander Grengler. Timothy Cook rolling off row 3 with Paul Hill just to his outside. Eric Papineau and Logan Grisbirch. Kane Hoddison. Randall Watkins. Chris Davis. Then you got Tanner Marty back there as well. Dalton Mobley, Jeff Carson. As that outside row gets rolling a little bit faster here. Chris Davis, John Crow Sr., Dalton Mobley, and Sean Kelly. Michael Witt and Chris Custer, 17th, 18th. Kaveg Holt.
Gavaja.
There we go. Glad you call these guys more than I do.
This is true.
Matt Mackin and Diego Rodriguez. Cody McCorkle and Brian Tarnowski in the 24th. Keith Long and Ron Fitting. Austin Call. Let's see if we can... How much time's left, Matt?
We got about 40 seconds.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and bring Dave down here. I know Dave wanted to do the call to the green, so we can grab him and throw him in the booth.
Yeah, not only are we shoving him back in the car, but we're making him pull double duty as he's going to lead us to green, and he's also going to take the green flag as well from the cockpit.
Gentlemen, here we are coming into turn number 3. The iRacing.com pace car has its lights off. That means that we're getting ready to go back green flag racing for the first time here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Cockpit. As we come into turn number 4, I'm sitting right behind Chief Cook and Bottle Washer Chris Claude. The only thing that's left to do is it's time. Oh, come on. Yep, wait for it. It always gets me here. It's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab some popcorn and call a friend. Settle in. Race fans, it's showtime!
Green flag in the air as 40 V8s come roaring to life in the the evening skies here over the speedway as Bobby Anderson leads the charge into the turns 1 and 2 complex for the first time. Mike, no surprise, take a look who's on the outside lane. Our P2 starter, that's going to be Sean Rockin' Rogers, getting a big push already on that high side.
Yeah, the high side is coming pretty quickly here. It looks like the top 2 are well hooked up. There's a little gap back, about 4 or 5 cars there, but 1 and 18 have hooked up pretty well as well.
The 1 and 18, that's going to be Bobby Anderson and Sean Rogers. Now, on that bottom side, they're starting to get a big push here. Almost a bump draft gone wrong there is the one of Mike McConville. Almost made a little bit of contact with the 18 coming through the tri-oval. And Mike, if you do that, you got to be careful because these next gens, they get pretty light right through that section of the racetrack. We've seen some big problems over the course of the years with you bump draft there. Did a great job of keeping that car underneath them as those Camaros on that bottom lane now being piloted by Logan Giesbrick, Mike McConville. They're really starting to get tightened up here as the 44 gets a big shot from Paul Hill. That's going to send Rogers to the lead. And as Dave Regal calls it, the shovel, the feeder system from the top line to the bottom just worked in the favor of the 44 as he now leads.
Yeah, the 6 pulled down in the 44. Sean Rogers went down in front, left Logan Giesbrick up there all by himself, and now he is going backwards.
And that's part of it. Comers and goers, we're going to see a lot of that over the course of 160 green flag laps here, or we hope green flag laps here tonight from Daytona. Tane Hodison wasting no time. That 93 machine already up 3 spots, well inside the top 10. Randall Watkins in the 27, also coming with him. He is now in 7th, Mike.
And Randall Watkins decided to go down to that bottom side after that top side had a little bit of a stutter there. Single filed out through the first 7 on the bottom. And it looks like that high line is not coming like they should be. Usually you'll see those guys get together and kind of do that side draft down the tri-oval and wind up making a little bit of ground, but it looks like they are still going backwards for the moment. Might have just barely stopped the backwards momentum here, but still sitting there. Tanner Marty trying to get to the back bumper there of Logan Griesbeck, trying to get that push going, but nothing happening at the moment.
Yeah, nothing happening at the moment. The outside lane just doesn't have the numbers, but the bottom certainly does, as Austin Call, coming over from the SCL, runs a 45.85. Fast lap of the race thus far, as he's currently in 18th position, already up 12 spots. So that 40 is coming to the front fast and furiously here at Daytona. You see the Aflac duck featured on that race car, throwing it back there to Carl Edwards. Great looking scheme on Austin Call's machine tonight.
Yeah, that fast lap definitely came to fruition after losing a little bit of the draft. Jumped up to that high line, got it back, and was able to make the most of that momentum. And it looks like we got some bouncing around towards the back here, maybe in the second group.
This would be the 57 there of Larry Miles, newcomer to the series. Currently runs in that 27th position. He's gained a handful of spots as well.
Yeah,
some of these guys that start, go ahead.
I was going to say just behind him is Dave Regal there, up 6 spots already, running in that 59 machine.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, Mike, I almost don't want to mention his name, and he knows why. Last week, we talked about 2 drivers. The minute we said their names, we instantly KO'd the field twice. So I just may refer to him as the 59 just so I don't invoke the broadcaster's curse on our partner who's out there currently on the racetrack doing battle with these guys as Sean Rogers currently leads. In fact, he's been up there now for a few laps when he was able to finally clear from the outside lane with a big-time push on the high side. Slotting in that second place position. No surprise, the Dent Slayer machine being piloted by Paul Hill in that 6. He knows how to get it done here on these plate races. Always a factor. And then there's the 18. Bobby, one of my favorite Andersons. He's already up to 3rd. And remember, folks, that 18 ran 160 laps last night, so he is fresh. He knows what this car is going to do and how this track is going to react. I look forward to watching him out there tonight as he's going the Coke Series mode here. This is what the 3 was able to do last night. JD from that series was able to push 2 cars just away from the inside lane at times. And Bobby Anderson gives us another example of that. So clearly he's got some ponies under the hood of that M&M's machine.
Yeah, as long as they stay straight, you can get that 3-car breakaway working pretty well. And it looked like he was all in on the rear bumper there of the 6 of Paul Hill. Mike McConville back there trying to keep pace, almost thinking whether or not he's going to try and jump to that outside line. Wouldn't surprise me if he did. Get in front of the 84 of Logan Griesbeck, trying to bring that outside lane up to the front here. But right now, as Griesbeck goes down to the bottom side, left the 29 of Tanner Marty up there by himself.
Marty's got help coming. Big time run, though. See if that outside lane is able to check up, and they do. You see how those cars on the high side, Dalton Mobley in that Camaro, kind of bobbled a little bit when he picked up that race car. You know, when you start to lose, this draft, you drop off a significant amount of speed, and that closing rate really starts to pick up. And that's a lot of times how we see these big ones kick off, is those types of incidences on the racetrack when you have a car that's lost the draft and you're closing. and that can kick off the big one there. There's another big push here on the bottom once again from Sean Rogers, Paul Hill, and Bobby Anderson, doing a great job of working together here at Daytona early.
Yeah, that 6 is glued right to the rear bumper there of the 44. You can just see how close they're getting as they come through the tri-oval here. Bobby Anderson gave him a little shove to get him a little bit further in front, but Mike McConville is able to close in and stay right with him. That outside lane, though, has the 29 and 2. The 29 of Tanner Marty and the 2 of Dalton Mobley has got that outside line working as they're going to challenge for the lead here, coming down towards the backstretch here.
Certainly is going to challenge. In fact, they now have that big-time momentum on the high side of the racetrack, being led by the 29 machine. Mobley doing his impersonation of Bobby Anderson, glued all over that 29 ZL1 Chevrolet Camaro as they fire off into the corner. Now off at the 3 and 4 complex. It's a side-by-side John Ford-style drag race as Sean Rockin' Rogers now gets the push, surges ahead, and he will lead that lap at the line.
Yeah, it looks like that inside line was almost waiting for that outside to start coming, and they showed what they had as they were able to push ahead. The 29 is still getting a great shove there from Dalton Mobley. Mobley has to watch the temp, though, as he has been glued to that back bumper. A little bit of maybe a piece of paper between himself and that 29 of Tanner Marty.
Yeah, that's a great point, Mike. And with the recent update on these cars, before, you could be tucked in behind somebody and really get that temperature up there. The minute you pulled out, though, and got some fresh air, to the front of that race car, those temps would drop. They would plummet, 20, 30 degrees in a matter of seconds. That's not the case anymore. So as a driver, you have to remember that and really manage those temperatures. Another thing that's kind of odd here in the opening laps, we seem to have formed 2 packs already. We have about the top 17, 18 or so cars here, and then we have a second pack of race cars, with some of these guys, further on back, like Ryan Samuelson, Brian Tarnowski. In fact, Samuelson was a big factor late in last night's race, and he's getting a huge push there. See the 79 Fireball machine, the gas man, Matthew Gaskins, great-looking paint scheme on that race car. Diego Rodriguez, a lot of big names here that have decided to clearly go to the back and wait for the carnage to unfold. And Mike, as you know, that strategy, it's a 50-50 crapshoot. Sometimes, the wreck will still kick off right here when you're trying to avoid it. On the other side of the coin, I mean, we've seen it last night. They can literally pop off and the fuse is lit, the first or second row. So really, it's the luck of the draw. But a lot of these guys have went to the back to try to stay out of harm's way as Rogers continues to lead.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the luck of the draw, especially when you have those 2 packs forming, because usually pack racing, if you're in the second pack, they're still going to be racing pretty hard. It's not like everybody's kind of baiting back to the back of the line or trying to mind their time here. Those guys are still racing for position. They still want to be in front of that pack. For some reason, it always seems to come to fruition, as right now that front pack has Tanner Marty on the high side, getting another shove there from Dalton Mobley out to the lead. John Rogers back to second for the moment.
Sean Rogers back to second for the moment, has a lot of help with him. In fact, it has been the 6 of Paul Hill and the 18 of Bobby Anderson working with him. But now Dalton Mobley, he's going to get out of the way, as clearly looks like he's worried about overheating on that ZL1 Camaro, as you see him lift and then starts to fall back there. So clearly wanted to get some fresh air to the nose of that race car. I was worried perhaps we're going to have a little bit of a checkup on the outside line, but those drivers have great situational awareness. They were ready for it, as now we have a change for the lead up front. Chris Custer in the Tide Ride, up 21 positions already, is out in front at Daytona. And Mike, he came through the field like a rocket.
Yeah, he was in that outside lane when everybody else was trying to get down to the bottom. Lucky for him, he was able to slide into the bottom lane right when the 29 and 2 there, Dalton Mobley, decided to check up a little bit. He was able to get down, and he has made the most of it as he's out leading now, has Sean Rogers, Paul Hill, and Bobby Anderson behind him on that bottom line.
Austin Call continues to make a lot of progress here early, up 20 positions, second biggest mover of the race. That 40 has now cracked the top 10. In fact, he's still getting more. He's already up to that 9th place position. So clearly, Mike, you can see already a lot of these strategies already playing out. Some of these guys started deep in the woods, like our current leader, like Austin Call, and here they are already inside the top 10, or in the case of our leader, Chris Custer, he's carrying the torch, and other guys have cycled from the front to the back. So clearly, they're showing their cards here as far as what the strategy is. Outside lane is still seems like it's having some problems. I thought earlier it just was a numbers game, but they still have a good amount of cars on that high side of the racetrack. But seems like they have to get really formed up nice and tight to be able to get the momentum to come up there and challenge that 66 for the lead. The minute, they space out just a little bit, they really seem to fall backwards.
Yeah, as soon as they get like half a car length in that gap, or they pull out to get half a car, some clean air, it winds up just costing them severely here. It wouldn't surprise me if the three behind the 66, Rogers, Hill, and Anderson, decide to go to that high line, get around the 66, and get back out in front where they want to be. But right now they have hooked up, and they are just pushing them away.
See a car make a big-time move there from the bottom to the top side of the racetrack. New leader in that outside lane now, a TRD-powered machine, Toyota Camry. I believe that's going to be the 40 of Austin Call, and it is. So he is still on the move, charging hard and driving pretty aggressive, especially early in this race. Clearly, he wants to lead this thing. I don't think he's going to stop until he's able to go up there and lead some laps. That 40 on a mission right now to get to the point.
Yeah, the 40 of Austin Call has been playing inside, outside, whichever line keeps moving the fastest, and he's been able to take advantage of that, going up 23 spots. He was on the bottom side. Everybody else went down low. He went to the high side, was able to take advantage, kind of like Chris Custer did there, and he is looking for more here as they come through the tri-oval. Go back and take a peek at this pack back here. 27 and 69, they're almost getting together. Randall Watkins, as he is down a few spots.
Diego Rodriguez there in the 34 as well. Oh, big time movement there. Little side draft from the 54 as well. That's Michael Caffrey.
Yeah, Michael Caffrey. Brian Tarnowski went from the high line down to the bottom, trying to get some momentum build up here. As that high line seems to be working a lot better in this group than it does in the front. As we got
turned into the fence. Rod Fitting just got matted.
Wow, what a save there, as he was looked like he was almost completely backwards there.
I don't know how he saved that, Mike. I mean, that car was face first in the safer barrier, and yet he's still out there driving. That's absolutely incredible.
I can take a look here. If we can take a look real quick. Maybe.
We go back to the SRM instant replay. High in the sky here. You see the 31 working the outside of the three.
Looks like that was right after. It looks like it didn't register anything after that, or before that. Crazy.
It's almost like what we saw didn't actually happen on the racetrack.
Yeah, I didn't even register any passes until that one, so I don't know how he was able to keep going, but he was nose first in the fence, getting pushed along there. Able to gather it in, though, and keep going in the right direction. He is on pit lane, though, trying to get that car repaired.
A little bit of Houdini magic going on here at Daytona. Sorry about that, folks, as we were not able to share that incident with you. So we'll take it back to the front of this thing. It's all the Tide Ride, that Dark Horse Ford Mustang, and Sean Rogers. Ford on Chevrolet action here at the front. In fact, he's in between a Ford sandwiches. He's got the Dead Slayer 6 machine right behind him, right behind Sean Rogers, and then you still have Bobby Anderson there as well. That outside line, they haven't been able to get up to the front to challenge that 40 machine, but Austin Call is doing everything he can to try and bring him up there. He's about halfway, through that that inside lane, I should say. Now here comes Chris Davis, beast mode performance driver. Now they're starting to get some good performing race cars up there. Mike, let's see if that changes things and they can get up here to challenge for the lead on the outside.
Yeah, they definitely have two of the better guys at drafting here, and they are hooked up. They seem to be formed a lot better than we've seen for the majority of this race. Even behind them, you have Marty and Mobley still kind of bouncing inside, outside, not really hooked up the way they should be. And that inside lane is still driving away for the moment.
Still driving away for the moment. However, Chris Davis in the 74 and the 40, they are now gaining ground, picking a car off about a half a lap or so. Here they come now, as that outside line is going to get a good head of steam here. Davis has lit the afterburner. The one gets pushed off the racetrack, though.
Under caution. Caution towards the back of the track. Let's see what happened here. Looks like it was Randall Watkins.
Well, Mike, you ready for this one?
There we go.
It's still green flag on my end.
Oh, wow. Okay, well.
I have no indication of caution, and they're still out there on the racetrack.
So the 75 comes down into the right rear quarter of the 27, Randall Watkins, and sends him right into the wall. We'll get Dak back up.
Yeah, Mike, I know it's not you, but my camera crew seems to have me focused on the turn 1 hot dog stand right now. And that's filling my primary monitor and secondary display right now. So I'm going to work with them to get that fixed, and I'll rejoin you here momentarily.
All right. So first caution comes on lap 24 here. We've got the lap 35 for the stage break. So we'll get stacked back up and see where these guys wind up finishing that stage. Looks like we have a couple of different strategies coming here as Mike McConville is headed down pit lane. Michael Witt, Keith Long, Diego Rodriguez, Corey McCarkle. Looks like Brian Tarnowski also came down. Like the 59 machine is staying out. We got Chris Custer, Sean Rogers, Paul Hill, Bobby Anderson, and Chris Davis, the top 5.
As that field continues to run behind that iRacing.com pace car. Here from the World Center of Racing, Daytona Beach, USA, under the lights tonight in prime time. Stacy Strong Cup Series, and I'll tell you, Mike, when Daytona comes a-calling, it brings everyone out of the woodwork into the racetrack. Some of these guys I haven't seen in, quite some time, but 41 drivers took the green flag. Excellent group, by the way. Love being up here calling these races here in the Stacy Strong Cup Series. It's rare to find this much talent on any other stage in iRacing, and we're so fortunate to have them each and every Sunday night. Is Chris Custer, your leader, up 21 positions from where he started. Sean Rogers in the 44. He's been beast mode since the drop of the green flag, even with the board. Started in second. Paul Hill as well. Then you have Bobby Anderson, Papineau, the other BMP performance car, Chris Davis, the gunslinger Austin Call in seventh, Kavaja Holt, Tanner Marty, John Crow Sr., rounding out the top 10 as they run right now as those lights go out on the pace car.
So here we go. We've got half lap here.
You see the sun beginning to set as we transition from the evening into the nighttime. And that's when it really seems to get rowdy here in these night races after the sun goes down.
I gotta. Eight-lap shootout for the stage. Stage break
Friday night short track style.
Yeah, stage break at 35, so we should get ready to roll here. It'll be interesting to see if Sean Rogers and Bobby Anderson can work together on that high line to get down in front of the 66 and try and step away from the field like they did earlier.
Yeah, something tells me those two are gonna work together here. Especially as important and as critical as stage points are. These guys want to get everything they can. Obviously, they don't want to go too hard and, wind up, wadding their race car up. But, I can guarantee you Sean Rogers is going to try to give he's going to try to give it everything he's got here, working with the 18 as that iRacing.com pace car pulls back down pit road, waiting on the green flag, back in the air, back on the gas is Chris Custer. We're racing again once at Daytona. As we fire now into the turns 1 and 2 complex. Rogers on the outside, the 66 of Custer on the inside, and he is getting one heck of a kick from the 6 of Paul Hill as they shoot out in front.
Yeah, Paul Hill wasted little time on giving that shove to the 66. Now you have Chris Davis going from the bottom to the top side, getting in front of Sean Rogers, and he is going to try and get himself pushed to the lead as we have a disappearing act there.
Ooh, we almost had a wreck there. About around that 10th, 11th place position. There was a checkup there. We almost had the diamond formation, as Dave Regal likes to call it. Again, these drivers doing a great job of just giving everyone enough room, being patient, and we continue to stay under green flag conditions as Paul Hill continues to work with the Ford family of drivers. Chris Custer in the Tide Ride, throwing it back to DW, leads here at Daytona. Chris Davis may have something to say about that, as now Beast Mode Performance runs 1-2 on the outside lane, being pushed by the 18.
Yeah, Sean Rogers got a heck of a push there from the 18 and was able to help Chris Davis get going towards the front. We had a little connection issue that caused that big checkup earlier in this run, so we'll see how that settles down here. We'll see if he's going to be able to keep this push, as Sean Rogers has buried that nose in the rear bumper there.
Yeah, knock it out the back door. It's not delivery. It's Sean Rogers as we go on board. The 44 looking out the nose cam here. You can see how close he is to the back of the 74. In fact, here he comes. He's going to give him a shot here. Puts it right in the business end of that race car, doing a great job of keeping it centered. The last thing you want to do is, have a mistimed or misaligned bump. That's how you really light the fuse here at the front of this thing. And here we go. making a big-time challenge here for the first time in a while. Chris Davis, does he have enough to lead this time by at the line? He does not. Chris Custer by 2/1000ths of a second, but Mike, that outside lane is there.
Yeah, that outside lane has hooked up, and it definitely goes to show you if you have the correct lineup on that outside line, it is going to be the faster line. They're able to carry that momentum coming off the corner, and they are now in front. See if they're going to drop down to the inside, and they will do just that. Almost all 4 drivers down to the inside.
I can't believe what I just saw. I mean, they got that big of a run. They were able to bring all 4 down to the inside lane there. It got a little dicey with that 4th car. I believe that's the 40 Austin Call. Cleared the tide ride, but he was able to fit it in there. Monster move from these guys on the high side of the racetrack. Just going to show you how critical these stages are.
Yeah, the 00's the driver that came down with him. Had a heck of a run, was able to stay right with him, didn't let up, was able to slide in front of Chris Custer. So now they are set with the top 7, almost 8 single filed out here.
Yeah, Kavaja Holt, and that man is always set to 110%. He's going to be he's always a fun driver to watch here in this series, Mike. Oh, almost a push gone wrong there. That 8 Lucas Chevrolet almost came down and uncorked one into the bottom that bottom lane there. Another wonderful save from some of these drivers here tonight.
Yeah, it looked like
and Mike, it's while we sit up here.
So we see these guys get a little bit of a bad bump and are able to save it as Austin Call thought about going up to the high line, thought better of it, stayed back down. The 66 of Chris Custer jumped to the high side, as you saw there, and almost had a bad bump there from Eric Pompano as he was given a shove there from the car behind him. Call's able to get out now, and now we're going to see what this outside line can do. 2 laps here, I believe, until the conclusion of this stage.
Yeah, currently working lap 34, being written into the history books. So we're coming down here to the end of stage 1. You said, what can these guys do with the 40 out in front leading that outside lane? They just cast out another Ford driver, threw him out to the middle lane into the oh my God, I'm having such a tough time talking right now.
Into the sucker hole there. Yeah.
Into the sucker hole, thank you. Can't believe it. They just kicked him out there and said, hey, go to the back. We don't want to work with you. I mean, that was about aggressive as a move I've seen coming to end the stage in a while.
Yeah, Paul Hill pulled out. Now he jumps up to the high side. Going to give it a shove there from Austin Call. Austin Call has Chris Custer giving him a shove. But up front, it's still Chris Davis, Sean Rogers, and Bobby Anderson.
Bobby Anderson in the 18 in that 3rd place position continues to work with Rogers and Davis on the bottom. Those cars are really threaded like a needle right now. That's how you get maximum energy. Oh, we got big time problems. The tide ride goes skybound. In the words of Phil Collins, I could feel it coming in the air tonight as we were coming down. And like the 4 of Josh Berry last night, he is on his lid on the apron.
Chris Custer, Jeff Carson. Let's see what happened back here. What caused 66 giving a shove there to Austin Call. Fades back a little bit there. The 17. Ooh. Off of the 17's bumper, there goes Chris Custer. And that is what brings out the yellow flag there.
And the tide ride's going to come to a halt.
On its lid, wasn't it?
In the grass. I mean, watch this. The 17 just punts him, sends him down, makes contact, shoots him back up to the racetrack, goes up and over. And it's going to do a a lid slide down the banking of the racetrack onto the apron and comes to rest in the grass.
On board with Custer.
Sweet baby Jesus. I know it's sim racing, Mike, but if you see that out your front window, there's a problem.
There definitely is a problem. Well, with that being said, that is the end of the stage. Chris Davis was the stage winner. Let's see if we can find. Want to talk to Chris there, Matt?
Absolutely.
Let me grab him here. All right.
Chris Davis, Matt and Mike up in the Tony Trapasso Memorial booth. You got a copy there, man?
Yes, sir.
Well, hey, congratulations on the stage win. Walk me through those moves to get to the high side of the racetrack and working with Austin Call there, getting to the front. How were you able to get it to P1 there when it matters here coming down to the end of this thing?
It's just all about luck here. Got lucky, got to the inside. I think Sean Rogers had a little bit of a bobble on that restart, so got it up to third, and him being a teammate, jumped up in front of him, and then it's just trusting your pushing partner. I mean, Rogers is such a great pusher on super speedway, so I'm glad to have him behind me at any point in time, but it's really just going to be about luck and trying to avoid these wrecks.
Speaking about the lucks and avoiding these wrecks, I mean, I'm sure you've seen what happened there. Looked like a push gone wrong there. Just a couple rows back of you. How do you avoid those types of incidences out there on the racetrack? Is there anything you can do as a driver? Can you be more patient, or is it just the fact that you're going so fast you don't have time to react and things happen?
A lot of times it's just being patient. I already seen a few guys trying to push through the corners, and this early in the race, it's just really not worth it. We got a long ways to go, so whenever I start seeing that, you'll see me kind of drop to the back, kind of start to hang out, stay away from situations like that.
Well, thank you, Chris. I appreciate you taking your time to join us up here in the booth as the lights are out on the pace car. Have a great rest of the race, and we'll look for you in the 44 Rogers to be there at the end. Have a great run the rest of the way.
I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you, sir.
So we get stacked back up here again, and new drivers on the front row. New drivers that came down on pit lane on lap 25. That's going to be the 69 of Tyler Hunter and the 28 of Brian Tarnowski.
You called it, Mike. Halfway through the stage when you seen them come down pit road, and you can see now the fruits of their labor, if you will, as they are now up at the front of this thing. Tyler Hunter, 30 positions to the good from where he started. He wasn't starting, at the back of this field. He started the next county over. A similar situation for Tarnowski, who's up 25 positions. A driver there that does so much for this series. Trish's Hope. If you don't know about Trish's Hope Foundation, check them out on social media. Go to their website, make a donation. They do such great things over there. Can't say enough about Trish's Hope. And that driver has that car up here in contention to lead at Daytona. It's the 74 of Chris Davis. Your stage winner is going to restart there in that fourth place position with his teammate Rogers on the outside of row number 2.
Yeah, definitely going to be a new set of rules here as they get ready to let that pace car make that left-hand turn, hit that Geico restart zone. Hunter with the button, and he is down and away almost by himself, but that outside lane, Austin Call is all over the back bumper of Brian Tarnowski.
Big time block already as the 69 knew he jumped out too far ahead, and he goes up the outside lane and picks up that group of race cars being led by Brian Tarnowski. You get the feeling that Tyler Hunter did not want to go backwards, as he clearly used a lot of strategy to get up here at to the lead. And now big time change already. Here comes the 40 of Austin Gall. He's been very aggressive here early. He drops to the bottom to pick up the other Toyota drivers, and Chris Davis and Sean Rogers. Actually, Rogers driving the Camaro, there. So you have two Toyotas now that lead the inside lane. The outside lane continues to be led by a Chevrolet, but the bottom, Mike, once again has the numbers, and here they go, starting to pull away once again.
Yeah, Austin Gall saw who was in front of him, saw who he could get in front of on that bottom lane, pulled down, and now that inside line is driving away. At the moment, you have, Davis and Rogers. Rogers basically has been able to push anybody in front of him to the lead, and that is where he winds up. Paul Hill also back there on that inside lane. So the only driver they're missing is the 18 of Bobby Anderson. It looks like Anderson might be deploying his strategy. We kind of talked to him before the race, and he said after the first stage, the second stage, he might kind of fade back a little bit, try and just be around there towards the end of stage number 3. So we'll see how this plays out here, but right now, Austin Gall to the point.
Well, folks, I told you earlier, he was a gunslinger, and he wanted to get this lead here in Daytona, and that's exactly what he has done. Now leading here for the first time this evening. Stage 1 already wrapped up into the books, clearly into stage 2 here live on SRM as the Stacy Strong's Cup Series presents here from Daytona Beach International Super Speedway. The 74 Chris Davis got a little bit of a he looked like got a little loose right there getting in the corner. Rogers is going to back off a little bit, give him some real estate to work with. However, Mike, that's going to cost him a little bit of that momentum. As you see now that not Ryan Samuelson, that's going to be the 81, now working his way towards the front as well. For the first time tonight in that 5th place position, up 35 spots. So a lot of these guys have come all the way from the back and made it up here either to the lead or inside the top 5. That is impressive for, especially against this competition, as we're single file now about the first 5-6 race cars in line.
Yeah, these guys have single filed out on that bottom row once they got rolling here. We saw a few guys go to that high side. Looks like the 2 of Dalton Mobley is going to be leading that outside lane for the moment. As I say that, it looks like he's still there. I was going to say it looked like somebody was thinking about jumping up, thought better of it, pulled back down.
I know you've seen me do that before.
Well, that's one of the things about racing here at these plate tracks. You think there's room, and as soon as you think that, it's already gone. You should just not think. You just need to react.
It's almost like if you think in one of these races, it hurts you. It's almost disastrous. And really, I mean, the heat of the moment, when you're giving it everything you got, you fit a car into a hole that it shouldn't fit into, or you get lucky. That's exactly what it is. It's just luck. But other times, if you have the opportunity, if you think about making a move and you start to go to that hole and you realize it's not there, well, Mike, sometimes that hole on the bottom can close up, and then you're kind of stuck there in the middle. So worked out really good in this situation here, as this bottom line continues to gain numbers. You see the 57 there, Larry Miles, up 20 spots. He's now into the top 15. Tarnowski runs outside of him in that 28 machine.
Yeah, they took
Bobby Anderson.
I want to say they took advantage of the track position. They're running to the positive, both Tarnowski and Hunter, as they found their way in that high line.
Yeah, that's one of Brian Tarnowski's strengths. He's really good at getting track position, deploying strategy to find ways to get positions out there on the racetrack. Really good over the long run as well. You want someone that's really good in the tire saving department. Talk to that man. He's one of the best in the business, as that car now runs in that 15th place position.
Yeah, Bobby Anderson, like I said, fading back a little ways, running right behind Tarnowski there.
That's not surprising. He's deploying lessons learned from last night. Well, that's when he caught a car to the face, and we'll leave it at that.
Joey Logano, huh?
You could say that. We
Yeah,
referred to it last night as Hiroshima and Nagasaki. If that's any indication.
Yeah, my race was looking pretty good as who I thought was going to win last night, and then he wound up almost flipping over, and then that was the end of his race. Michael McDowell.
Yeah. I don't know what your thoughts. We have a minute here as we're back green flag race. And I don't know what your thoughts were about last night's race, but to me, it was almost like it wasn't real. Like we were watching something that came out of Hollywood. It was, it was too good. I mean, you had the guys the David and Goliath situation with Retzloff and Harrison Burton, going up against Kyle Busch, and then his old car, the 20 behind him, Christopher Bell. In that situation, who are you going to pick? Of course you're going to pick Kyle Busch and Christopher Bell. No, they get schooled, by a guy that's only has 2 starts in the series and a kid that was basically left for dead. I mean, it was just a miracle at the end of that race. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking. It's almost like it was the race itself. Last time we were at Daytona, it was basically everybody running half throttle, saving as much fuel as they could. So the racing was pretty, dry, I would say. But
yeah.
Last night it seemed like it turned up just a little bit, and then at the end, I mean, granted you're going to have cautions upon cautions, but the drivers that were able to work their way through the caution and not get caught, and then it comes down to Retzloff and Burton versus Busch, and I mean, I will say that if it was Busch back in his younger days, I don't think Burton wins. But
And that's a fair point.
I mean, after everything that happened with RCR and everything, Kyle Busch basically let Burton go. Otherwise, he would have hooked him, no doubt.
He would have hooked him, and it would have been a violent, big-time incident on the racetrack. And we've seen that now. It almost seems like, a couple years in a row on the last lap at these plate races, the guy that's leading starts throwing big-time blocks, and they get set big-time into the fence. And Kyle Busch probably was, let's just say he was nice in that situation and decided not to rock the 21's world, but still, winning, it's still a win. And a race we'll probably be talking about for a while here as Austin Call continues to lead here, has that Aflac Toyota out front, showing these guys that he's got what it takes to compete in the Stacy Strong Cup Series. A driver we know from the SCL, always a formidable force there. However, that is a fixed setup league. This is an open set. But it's great to see other talent from other leagues, Mike, coming to making themselves known in the Stacy Strong Cup Series, proving he can get it done here against some of the best in the business.
Yeah, that is one thing I love about the fact that we broadcast so many leagues. We've got the SCL drivers. I mean, we have moonshiners behind them with Chris Davis. I mean, there's tons of drivers out here that we've seen in more than just this one league.
Obviously we get to know them. We build a little knowledge, a little material. So when we're up here in the broadcast booth, we have a little more depth, and it certainly, makes it that much better. Like you said, very thankful to have all those different leagues and have the ability to watch these drivers compete sometimes multiple times a week, as Davis now continues to work with Call on the bottom. Mobley's feeling spicy on the top side of the racetrack as he's now leading that outside lane. Help from the 33 of Ken Ron, and now in that second place position in the outside lane.
Going to have to get skinny here as they go by a lap car on the bottom. He will pull down and get below those yellow lines, allow the racing to happen on the outside lanes, but that allows Dalton Mobley to get the lead. but it also put a gap between himself and Ken Ron.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do is Kevin LePage the field. And Mike, I love that you took my get skinny line. Thank you for using that. I thought it was good. Sometimes hey, there's not a lot of room on this racetrack to get skinny. It's not as wide as Talladega.
No.
I know they race the same. It is not the same width around this place. Too wide, you can run, pretty comfortably. 3 is difficult. Talladega, you get 3 wide there. It's a lot less stressful on these drivers, but things still can happen. As Mobley now still leads that outside lane to 29, continues to make headway of Tanner Marty. He's up 5 positions there, now up to P7. Biggest mover of the race, though, Mike, Ryan Samuelson in the 81, up 30 positions. Heck of a run here for him thus far.
Yeah, it looks like he's been able to work himself through the field because he only pitted on lap 36, so just on that stage caution, he came down, got fuel, and got back out on the track, so has done most of his passing the hard way.
Yeah, he certainly has. He's been grinding it out inside the cockpit of that race car. Speaking of grinding it out, where is our very own Dave Regal? Just wanted to check in with him, at least up here, while we have an opportunity to, and we track his progress over his return to competition here tonight.
Plus 21 right now, running on the high side behind Anderson.
He who shall not be named is doing pretty darn well thus far, having a great run. Almost inside the top 15. Making it look easy out there, Mike.
That is one of the nice things. When Daytona does race clean, it's not as hard to, stay with the pack because you just basically follow the leader. So it's definitely a good track to get your feet wet again, as he has been out of the driver's seat for, honestly, almost 2 years now.
Yeah, it's been a long time. In fact, when we go back to when I started working with SRM and you, Mike, Dave was a driver in the series. Then I think I called my first Cup race. I think it was with you in the series when Dave was out there on track, and I think Emily Urias was running at that point in time as well, if I remember correctly.
Sounds about right. It's been a while.
From Dave's perspective, I know he doesn't speak very highly of his driving capabilities. I just told him he needed to go run some different series. I mean, he's running against these guys. I mean, they do the same thing to me. They clean up the floor with me. I feel like I'm 2 inches tall after I run a race with these guys. It takes a lot for me to pick myself up. But see, I'm just that guy that keeps coming back for more punishment all the time. So I get Dave's point. You go out there, you race your heart out, and sometimes when you're finishing, north of 25th all the time, it gets old.
Austin Call got a bad push off of the bumper of Chris Davis, and he is going backwards now as he's stuck up in that high line all by himself, 3 wide, up against the wall. Arnowski gets by Anderson, and he who shall not be named is stuck 3 wide in the middle. Doesn't want to be the jam in that sandwich.
Well, this time he literally was just about, as he now clears the 40. And I know, Mike, you said he was working the outside lane. I mean, he was so high up there. I mean, Austin Call was in the nosebleeds.
Yeah,
he almost made contact there with the fence a couple times. Did a great job holding it up there and making sure, nothing ended up as a result of it.
Yeah, they played a little hopscotch up front as Dalton Mobley went down to the bottom after Austin Call went up to the high side after getting a little bit of a bad push there. Looked like it was almost through the corner there, got touched the wrong way, sent him up into the wall. Mobley pulls down and gets in front of Davis, and now he is going to lead the race.
Mobley continues to impress tonight, as that too has been on a mission. as he carries the torch here at Daytona. Out in front in that ZL1 Camaro. Beast Mode Performance continues to be a mainstay feature piece here as they run second and third. That's Davis and Rogers. Samuelson continues to impress. I think as he's literally trying to go from worst to first as he's up to that 5th place position, cracked the top 5. That's good for 35 positions on the scoring pylon.
Yeah, it looked like he
Absolutely.
looked like he was looking to get to that outside lane, and then all of a sudden the outside lane went backwards too fast for him, and he was able to get back down inside and in front of the 22 of Sean Kelly.
Yeah, all of a sudden that outside lane has just dissolved and collapsed. I'm not sure, it's Daytona, just that's how this race progresses. These lines dissolve as fast as they manifest and form. That's all just a part of the process racing here. Dalton Mobley doing a good job at hanging on to that race car because Chris Davis is beast of a pusher. And when you're that car leading the field here at Daytona, you're the one that's initially punching the air. So not only are you getting the worst fuel mileage, you're going to get some big shots at times. And here's a clean example right here is the 74 of Davis has his face all over the bumper of Mobley.
74 was all over the back bumper there, trying to give him a shove to get him further out in front. That outside line, though, is losing momentum in a hurry. It was even there with Samuelson, and now it is almost 2 cars back.
It's probably just a coincidence, but it seems like when that outside lane can get a couple Toyotas or a Toyota leading that outside lane, that's when they seem to have, the best answer to that inside lane's performance right now. That could just be nothing, or it just could be what we're seeing right now out there on the racetrack. But to Mike's point, that outside lane continues to lose numbers. As you can see now, there's literally 4 cars working on the high side of the racetrack. Now they're trying to side draft because they're really they're going to start losing some momentum now. Their speed's going to be down. Someone got a big time push there. Looks like that was the 57 of Larry Miles. Maybe have gotten into him in the corner there. As you see that back of that Camaro wash out, get a little squirrely, gets it back underneath him. And just as I say that, Mike, they make a liar out of me. Here they come.
The 29 is all over the road, inside, outside, shoving him all over every direction. The 81 of Samuelson able to save it after going down on the apron, but that leaves a gigantic hole between himself and it looks like the 57 there of Larry Miles.
I believe that's who it was. It was Tanner Marty that was just administering a wicked push there. You see how Ken Ron's race car reacted to it. He was chasing that car up and down the racetrack. I think he may have brushed the wall as well, but they still remain in that tandem draft like we've seen in the COT era. The 33 and the 29. I mean, they are glued, trying to hold their own. In the outside lane there's probably not another car in that lane for about 10 to 12 car lengths.
It definitely looks like that. But with that being said, as we have settled down here, we're going to step aside, go side by side. You won't miss anything, and we'll be back after this.
There's a new approach to lawn care, Preen One Lawn Care. Preen One does away with the hassle of multiple bags of different products. It has everything you need for a beautiful lawn in one bag, and all it takes is one application. For season-long weed control and feeding, apply the granules when the lawn is wet and weeds are actively growing. It blocks crabgrass all season. It prevents crabgrass seeds from growing. It kills the seedlings too, even when applied 4 weeks after they sprout. It's your best defense against tough weeds like dandelion, chickweed, henbit, and hundreds more. Plus, its slow-release formula feeds the lawn evenly for months to build stronger roots for maximum heat and drought resistance. Preen 1 delivers convenience and better performance in one package with one application. Spend more time enjoying your lawn and less time working on it. Preen 1, and it's done. It's a lawn dream come true.
Imagine a theater experience so real you're part of the action. Breakthrough technology that shakes your seat at precisely the right moment so you can feel the action on the screen. Choose 4D Cinemas powered by Butt Kicker for the ultimate theater experience. And for the ultimate in movies, gaming, and sports at home, add your own Butt Kicker. A simple, wireless, affordable device that takes just seconds to install. Text the word on the screen right now to receive a special offer. Get Butt Kicker and feel what you've been missing.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Didn't miss anything as we were side by side there. Everybody single filed out now through most of the field. Dalton Mobley was able to take advantage, and he is leading this thing now. Chris Davis back to second. Sean Rogers, Paul Hill, and Larry Miles rounds out the top five.
So he rounds out the top five. Dalton Mobley still and continues to be extremely impressive here at the big house. You know, a lot of people say, Mike, no skills at super speedway or along those lines, and I beg to differ. As we have wholesale pit stops now behind Dalton Mobley. I'll get back to that point here in a minute. There's multiple drivers coming down pit road. Please don't. Oh, well, my son just smacked me over the head with a tablet. We'll add that to the things that went wrong tonight from my side of things. But, you know, like people say there's no skill at super speedways. I beg to differ. I think it requires a different skill set at super speedways. You have to be able to vibe with, you know, what's going on the racetrack, see those runs, feel where that energy is going to be. You have to be able to work with different people in real time, other drivers that you tip outside of the realm of on your team, and being able to make what's best of the situation at any given moment on the racetrack. As we now see this lead group hard on the binders here as they come in almost in an offset Blue Angels formation. No one locks up the tires or into the dirt. No miscues there as Dalton Mobley leads this pack down as he has his pit stalls in sight. As we now cycle back to the 71 of Keith Long as he currently leads, Mike.
Yeah, Keith Long, Chris Claude. Matt Mackin and the 59 machine.
Hey, look who's out there shellacking. It's old Matt Mackin. He's got that machine up in that third place position. Good to see him up near the front. And there he is, the voodoo machine from earlier, Mike, the guy that was in the wall that never really happened. It's the three of Ron Fitting.
Yeah.
I still can't figure that one out.
Yeah, I don't know how in the world it didn't register anything, not even a pass.
One of these guys have to have a flux capacitor or something in their race car. That's the only thing I can think of. They just went back and erased it from existence.
Looks like the top 10, 11 haven't pitted. They all came down lap 36, 37.
Yeah, so the top 4 cars, or top 5 cars, including the 80 of Mark Johnston, Dave Regal there, up inside the top 5. Johnny Niner Grinder up there in 4th. Look at him go. They now come in to make their service on their race cars. Want to have a clean entrance here, and those drivers do.
Gonna cycle Mark Johnson, Mike McConville, and Cody McCorkle to the lead.
You know, and one thing these green flag stops are going to probably do, Mike, is it's going to break and dissect this field up into groups of race cars out there on the racetrack. Could stretch things out a little bit, as these 3 guys are pushing really hard on each other, especially the one of McConville all over the back of that Ford Mustang.
What this is telling me is we've got a little over 40 laps of fuel. So they will be able to make it to the stage break. And then we'll see who decides to come down, as the next stage break is on lap 95.
Lap 95, that's the set for stage number 2. Currently working at lap 74 of the scheduled 160 laps from Daytona. And Mike, don't forget, we have overtime in our back pocket if we do have to go there. And oftentimes we do.
Shouldn't it just be standard time at Daytona?
There's nothing standard about Daytona.
Except for there's always overtime at Daytona.
There's always overtime. You almost wonder if you take away overtime, or you just throw the extra overtime into the scheduled distance. If if we fix that that trend from happening. But I don't think it would matter. I think you're still gonna have it. The only way I don't think you see that is, if you don't have a caution near the end of the race to kind of bunch this field back up, if they're out there kind of strung out a little bit in smaller packs of cars, that's going to reduce the risk of mayhem out there on the racetrack. But outside of that, it's Daytona. It's, one of the most famous places, in motorsports. As a driver, you want to win here, and it's just a byproduct of everyone trying to get everything out on the racetrack that just blows the lid off this facility when it comes down to checkered flag time.
We've got Johnson, McConville, and McCorkle still have not pitted yet.
While I have a moment, Mike, I'm going to step inside the SRM virtual cutaway car. And as I go ahead and I fire on the main battery switch here, it looks like, telemetry-wise, we're looking at about 43 laps of fuel on a complete can or a complete tank of Go Fast. Now, out there in the draft, depending on how you're running, if you're not always wide open, perhaps you can stretch that to 44, maybe 45, do I dare say. So these guys out here leading, they have to come in sooner than later. Right now, they have to be on fumes, or you would think.
Yeah, they might have a couple laps left. I mean, it's got to be getting close. Because if you said 44, 45, they're looking at 80, 81-ish. So, I mean, maybe they've saved enough to make it a little ways, but I don't know that it's going to help them at all as far as winning the stage or getting stage points or anything like that. It might set it up better for the end of the race, maybe.
It could. Or it could just be a byproduct how this race has evolved for these drivers thus far, and they're trying to make the best of the situation with, the race cars they have or the other drivers they have around them right now. Getting back to what I was talking to about earlier, just working with, dynamically working in real time with drivers around you that you typically don't work with, on any other given Sunday. As this Mustang, oh my God, Mark Johnson's going to come down pit road without a battle buddy, no dance partner.
I think that might have been by accident. I think Dave Regal threw in the block of the century as far as blocking pit lane, so Mike McConville and Cody McCorkle could not go down with Mark Johnson.
Well, if you want to, we'll go with that storyline. I didn't want to say anything, but since Mike, you threw that out there, perhaps some payback from something that happened on the racetrack a couple of years ago, as Regal out there sitting picks like Shaquille O'Neal in the paint in the NBA.
Yeah, I don't think that was by design. I think they just came up on Regal at the wrong time, and they couldn't get down around him fast enough to get down pit lane. So that's kind of left Mark high and dry there.
Yeah, that is huge. I mean, pitting by yourself under green flag conditions, that will just rob you blind. This group here being led by Ryan Samuelson. This is the lead pack, composed of Primetime himself, Kavaja Holt, and that 00, Tane Hodison, Tyler Hunter, Diego Rodriguez in there as well. And the other thing, these are some pretty big movers as well. Samuelson, by far the biggest, 30 plus 39. So he literally almost went from worst to first as 40 drivers took the green flag. He was one away from that. We're going to get around a smaller pack of cars here as he takes that charge to the second lane, the high side of the racetrack.
Yeah,
Paul Hill and that Dead Slayer machine currently works as the caboose, Mike.
Yeah, trying to get around some of these lap cars. That's the problem when you do have these green flag pit stops, is how do you get around the drivers who either came down a little bit later or who are just getting, or who you have more cars lined up. I mean, how do you get by them? Luckily, they've been able to get by pretty much unscathed for the most part.
And then, when this happens, that group of cars, those two that just got passed and got around is going to all blend together and join this lead pack now. Sometimes it's not for position, but still, the addition of those cars to this group will only help them out on the racetrack. As the more cars you get, that should reflect in the speed times around the racetrack. And that's another thing you have to pay attention to as well. Mike, how many times have you called a race on SRM when you've had, let's say the first set of cars, out there, they have a 6-7 second advantage, over the second group of cars. However, as you run those laps, depending on how these cars come off at pit road, they join that other group, they get the numbers, and then they start to run them down. And at the end, you have just a wild finish because that group was able to catch them at, as time expired. It's happened time and time again, and it's just one of those things that you have to be conscientious of when you're out there running in small packs like this.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's Mackin on the bottom in that 01 machine. Let's see where he's currently being scored right now.
32nd.
Thank you, Mike. So Matt Mackin's in 32nd, being pushed there by the 80, who basically, Dave Regal set him into timeout, pit road by himself, working there with the 80. And just like I was saying, now Mackin, ooh,
Wow.
the Dead Slayer machine got yeeted to the bottom of the racetrack and then kind of forced himself back up over the double yellow line. I don't know if those two drivers are upset about something or what happened, but that was almost dangerous.
Well, Tyler Hunter was pinching him down a little bit. Looks like he's going to do it again, try and get down side draft. That's a little dangerous sometimes here, especially when you don't have anybody really pushing you either. They're just two cars side by side for the most part.
Yeah, now this is, I can understand why this is going to frustrate you, because that's going to cost you time out there on the racetrack. Racing side by side, it's only hurting you and also the other pack of drivers that are with you, that this side by side racing. So I don't know if those two drivers have a history there, or why he was so aggressively side drafting, the Dead Slayer machine there, but nonetheless, he was. And in fact, they're going to clear now, go back single file, and 69 time is trying to get all over to the back of the 34 as Hill goes to the front of this group.
Diego Rodriguez in that 34 Ford.
Rodriguez having a great run here tonight thus far. Last down on pit road, lap 69. In fact, that goes for Diego Rodriguez, Tyler Hunter, Payne Hodison also in this group down on lap 69. And to be fair, Mike, I mean, they got themselves a pretty good advantage right now, as these drivers have really broken away from the rest of the competition. And it all comes down to, how you execute on pit road, and they did a great job of it.
Yeah, everybody figured out where they wanted to be. The worst part about stage racing in general is, look at this run they have. They made their green flag pit stop. It is exactly what they needed. They got that huge run. The top three are out almost a second and a half in front of the next group. And all of it's going to evaporate here in 8 laps.
Well, yeah, this is the participation trophy mentality at its best. We're going to take a break now and give everyone else a chance to catch back up, Mike.
Exactly.
You're absolutely right. And, Carl Edwards said it best years ago. Almost like he was could see the future. He said, when you go out there and strap into a race car, you see a green flag which starts the race. And then you'll see a yellow flag if there's a caution or incident on the racetrack, a red flag if something is really bad and we have to stop. But he said that's the only time we stoppage of race. He said is a red flag. He said what ends the race, a checkered flag. He said if you guys try to now tell me we're going to have a race, but then we're going to have breaks in that race and then restart again, you're changing the integrity of the sport. And I agree with him there, because I mean, what these guys at the front have been able to do, Samuelson, Holt, Payne Hodison, it's for nothing, to your point, because everyone knows, we're going to reset the field again, give everyone a chance to win, is looming.
Well, as you were talking, we got a caution out on the racetrack. See what happened here. Oh, like the Sean's got into it here. Let's see what happened. Austin Call.
Oh no.
Oh, the 2. Let's See if we can have a different look here. Different look here from the chopper. The 33 again. And Ron gives a bad push. Check up everybody. Both Sean's get thrown down to the inside. Mobley gets moved around. 24 there as well. So, just a bad push there once again.
Yeah, Mike, and I apologize there, but I seem to have picked up a horrible case of the blinkies. So, obviously, that means the broadcast or the race has went Christmas mode on me for quite some time. So I couldn't see the caution when it came out there, and it's starting to stabilize there a little bit. But I'm going to take a look at the stream on my phone just to make sure everything's okay broadcast-wise, and I'll try to see if I can get that to stabilize as we're under caution here for incident on the racetrack. Live on Sim Racing Media, Stacy Strong Cup Series doing battle out here Sunday night as always, as we're working lap 90 of the scheduled 160 laps from Daytona.
All right, so we'll see if that's going to be the stage. I think it's just outside the stage break. Guys make their pit stops though. We'll know right away here if anybody's coming down. Doesn't look like they are, so. That's just going to be just outside the stage point, so that would be a green-white checker for the stage. They're getting stacked up here. Lights are out on the pace car. Samuelson, Kavaja, Holt, and like Paul Hill and Tane Addison are going to be the first two rows here. Diego Rodriguez, Tanner Marty in row 3. Don Kelly, Sean Rogers both made a pit stop and are back out. Bobby Anderson as well. Dave Regal, first car lap down as we get ready to turn them loose once again here in the Stacy Strong Cup Series.
If you're tracking Dave Regal, he's in the 59 ride, currently in that 21st place position, as Mike said, first car lap down. So we'll see if Lady Luck is on Regal's side and he can work some Daytona magic here and get back on the lead lap. And the other side of all that track position dissolving is a caution flag, which is what happened here. But that big lead Samuelson and company had us gone as everyone is rack stacked back on top of one another as we approach the Geico restart zone. Samuelson is going to let it rip tater chip, Cletus McFarland style, and we're back to green flag racing here at Daytona. Kavaja Holt in that 00 machine, having a great run here in that Ford Mustang. As the Thunder is back here at the Big House as we fire off in the turns 1 and 2 complex.
Paul Hill did not get going very well as he has faded back to, even with the 4th car in line on that high side, he's got Tanner Marty giving him a push, and now he is back on his way towards the front once again.
Big push there from the 00 to the 81. Masterful job of holding that through the corner there.
Working lap 93 now, a couple more until we hit that stage break. The 29 to Tanner Marty slides down in front of Ryan Samuelson, and that is going to give him a shot as he was almost not clear enough to get down.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am truly sorry, but I am having a hard time here staying with the broadcast, so I'm going to step aside for a moment, leave you with Mike DeMoney, and see if I can get this stabilized. I'll be back with you just as soon as possible. Mike, I'm sorry for the inconvenience.
All right, man. Paul Hill able to lead here. Tanner Marty giving him a shove as they head down through 1 and 2 now. Ryan Samuelson back into 3rd. Nobody really pushing him as Diego Rodriguez and Kavaja Holt side by side. The 10 machine of Chris Claude down on the bottom trying to work his way into some stage points here. Paul Hill leading them as we work through lap 94. A lap and a half left here in stage number 2. Diego Rodriguez moved up to the high side. Chris Claude almost gets turned there as there is a jumble back here towards the back. Working lap 95 now. Paul Hill, Tanner Marty, and Ryan Samuelson able to push away here. Chris Claude with Tane Hodson, Tyler Hunter, and Chris Davis. Brian Ternowski, Diego Rodriguez, Kavaja Holt, Austin Call, all inside the top 10. They're coming down the backstretch through 3 and 4, one final time for the stage. See if Tanner Marty's going to stay behind or if he's going to try and pull out and get the stage victory here. Coming through the front stretch. Samuelson pulls out, but Paul Hill is going to win. Tanner Marty, Ryan Samuelson, Tane Hodson. They were able to stay off of each other here and keep it green to the end of the stage. That is going to be end of stage number 2. Get caught back up to the pace car and get ready to roll here one more time. Paul Hill catching up to the pace car. We'll go ahead and let them make their pit stops before we see if we can drag him on up here into the booth and see how his race was playing out so far. Like Dave Regal lost a couple spots, so he was not in the lucky dog position to get that lap back. He'll run in plus 11 in the 23rd position. Dave Regal came in, so it looks like only one driver stayed out so far. It looks like Brian Tarnowski. So as Paul Hill made his pit stop, got back out on track, going to lose a couple positions as he had a 15-second pit stop. Looks like he took 4 tires and fuel. Austin Call, Cody McCarkle, and Keith Long all elected to take fuel only. So let's see if we can get the stage winner up here in the booth. Hey, Paul, Mike up in the booth, man. How's it going?
Good. How are you, Mike?
Oh, not too bad. Well, heck of a run there, first and second stage. You were able to get the victory on stage 2. How's the race out there?
Just trying to survive, to be honest. All my teammates got wrecked in that first stage with all those cautions, so I'm out here on my own just trying to make friends. It's been interesting.
Well, definitely looked like you had the machine that's able to push anybody to the front. Luckily for you to get that stage victory, you had a little help there from Tanner Marty. They're pushing you to the stage win. So what's kind of the strategy here for this final stage?
Just try to keep the nose clean and the back end clean, not get caught up in any messes, and hope I make the right call on fuel strategy and be there at the end, honestly. It's going to be difficult to win this race with no friends, but I'm going to try.
Definitely, Matt. Well, congrats on your stage win, and I will maybe talk to you after the race.
Sounds good.
All right, that was Paul Hill, winner of stage number 2. They should be getting ready to come to lights out on the pace car, I do believe. Yep, lights are out on the pace car. Brian Tarnowski is going to lead them to green this time. Austin Call elected to come down for fuel only, so he's going to start second on that outside row. Cody McCorkle and Paul Hill got a couple lap cars that are going to have to fade to the back of the field here.
You know, you heard Paul Hill talk about in the interview fuel. And Mike, I know you were talking about that in real life with the previous Daytona race, and here we are once again, even in the sim world, fuel being, accounted for and being on the minds of these drivers, crews, spotters, as that could become a factor here as we grind through the rest of this race and get down towards the end. How about Tarnowski, man, having a great run tonight in that 28 machine, as you said, up 28 spots. Austin Hill in the 40, very similar situation. I mean, we watched him come early in this race like a bolt of lightning from the back all the way up here to the front. I mean, he drove his tail off getting that Aflac Camry to the point, and he's done a good job of keeping it there. Even had to overcome a little adversity on the racetrack, and yet here he is. Hodison in that 93, overperforming, I would say, tonight thus far, having a very, very good showing. Paul Hill in that Dent Slayer machine, always strong out there on the racetrack. And as you said, Mike, he's got one of probably the best pushing cars out there in competition, as that's the top 5. As those lights now, as Mike said, out on that pace car, this field gets racked, stacked, once again, ready to rock and roll. Chris Claude, head cook and chief bottle washer, just outside the top 10. Into the Geico restart zone once again. Tarnowski is going to let it rip late in the zone, and he is going to jump out to a sizable lead, probably one of the only couple tracks you don't want that, as these guys can really team up and get a run on you. Tarnowski is probably going to have to do a little bit of blocking here because both these trains are going to be coming with a big-time head of steam.
Yeah, that is not what you want to do. As you see the 78 there, Cody McCarkle, looked like he checked up just a little bit, trying not to shove Brian Tarnowski off the track. But now the lines are hooked up for that outside line. Austin Call is getting a major push there from the 93 machine.
A big-time push from that 93 ride. And, you know, hey, it's Daytona. These laps are starting to wind down. You can see the intensity and the aggression starting to pick back up. Austin Call got credit leading that past lap. In fact, he's going to lead another one here at Daytona as he continues to command that lane, working the top shelf of the racetrack, going up against that Camaro being piloted by Brian Tarnowski on the bottom. A 2x2 Noah's Ark situation once again here at the front. And Mike, don't look now, but there's an M&M's Camry making its way back towards the front. Bobby Anderson on his recovery drive once again, as he is on the outside, working P11 just outside the top 10.
Yeah, talked to him after he won the pole. He said the first stage he was going to try and stay up front. He did that. Second stage, he said he was going to try and stay towards the back, just stay out of trouble and survive until stage number 3. Well, it's stage number 3, and here he comes once again. Inside the top 10 is that 18 machine.
That Dark Horse Mustang has really got it rolling right now. In fact, he is on a charge as he now is moving steadily through the ranks on that outside lane, almost gotten Ryan Samuelson there. Is those two cars need to work together back up to the front. The 40 is getting a big time push there from Cody McCorkle in that 78 machine, or excuse me, 83. As that's going to push again Austin Call back to the lead. Let's see if he comes down here and clears and goes to the bottom as he gets that push from Hodison. He does not. He continues to stay committed to the outside. And Mike, that's something these drivers remember. If you help someone get up to the front, and the minute you get a chance to just dump them for the bottom, drivers will remember that, and that could come back to haunt you late in the race.
Yeah, it definitely can. As you see the 6 of Paul Hill go from the bottom to the top, he's third on the top, and once he did that, that top lane started rolling here. You have the 24 of Richard Pruitt up here as well. Not a guy we've talked about much lately here in this run, but Brian Tarnowski up 24 spots, last pitted on lap 89, so he's got 8-9 laps older tires to the guys that did pit for tires, but Austin Call was not one of them. He came down for fuel only, took the track position, and now he is out in front here in that 40 Toyota.
Austin Call is vibing here in the nighttime under the lights at Daytona, trying to make a name for himself in the Stacy Strong Cup Series. Big time move there from Ryan Samuelson as he just sent it in there like grandma's business with the 69 down to the bottom. Barely cleared Brian Tarnowski. In fact, because he had to check up so much, that kind of has broken up the bottom just a little bit. Some of those drivers now bailing, deciding to go to the high side of the racetrack, and that could cost this 6-7 car group here on the bottom a little bit of momentum.
Yeah, as soon as the drivers of the 88 Michael Witt saw that, and also the 24 of Richard Pruitt saw that gap, they jumped down in front of Samuelson, and now they got that inside line rolling along once again. Tarnowski did lose a little bit of ground, but he's able to get the draft from the rest of these drivers and is moving back towards the front.
That he is. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. The 88 of Michael Witt, I think that's the highest he's been all night tonight, up that 6th place position. Bobby Anderson on his charge back towards the point as well in that 18, right behind the 88 of Witt. And now we've kind of flip-flopped. Before, the bottom had all the numbers, and now the bottom is the guys that are lagging, troop-wise, and everyone has seemed to decide it is time to rip the top here at Daytona.
Yeah, it's kind of funny the way that worked, because the bottom line, everybody was down there, but the majority of the time, if you're at Daytona, it's usually the middle to high line where you have more speed and you're able to steer the cars a lot more similar. So you're able to get that momentum coming off the corner, and that just was not happening early in this race.
It wasn't, and I thought for certain, you know, it was going to prevail. It was going to come in, and it just didn't. That bottom lane, you know, was clearly the preferred lane to be in. And now, in the blink of an eye, a majority of these drivers that were very competitive and dominant almost on the bottom have come up to the high side of the racetrack. They have the numbers, they have the mojo, and Austin Call is starting to gap that first lane at speeds almost up to 203 miles an hour as he got sent into the corner by the 93 of Tane Hodison. Paul Hill there as well. Some really strong cars in that outside lane. No surprise. They are big moment there right in front of Bobby Anderson. It almost went wrong. To the sucker hole you go. In fact, he was able to find a way to the high side of the racetrack. But we almost had another one cook off right in front of Bobby Anderson once again for the second night in a row.
Anderson has got to be thanking his lucky stars there as he was able to avoid that. I think we got some lappers kind of built in around him too, so definitely not somewhere you really want to be at the moment, but
no, it's certainly not, but unfortunately you have to deal with it at that point in time, and you just try to forge your way through it. As we continue to do battle under the lights here in prime time. Heck of a run from Austin Call. I mean, this guy, I mean, he didn't take any time. He said, hey, I'm going to the front. You guys can join me or don't go with me. I don't care. I'm going to find a way to do it. And he did it. And, you know, outside of a small miscue, which was not of his doing, he has been up here and continues to lead laps.
Getting a huge push there from Hodison. And then he backs off just in time to go through the corner, slides that car up, gets some air to the nose, does Hodison, and then right back to pushing.
Yeah, Tane Hodison doesn't get enough credit for how good of a pusher he actually is. And you know what? If that was me, I'm okay with that. Like with a stealth mode, sleeper effect being off the radar. Well, that's a good thing out there. That's exactly how I like it. I don't want anyone paying attention to me. Don't worry about me. And then I'm going to creep up there when the time is right and see if I can go ahead and steal one from you. Tane Hodison definitely kind of falls into that bucket. Very good, but very stealth on the racetrack. 24 coming into the picture there on the bottom side as well. That's Richard Pruitt working his way towards the front. Samuelson again trying to get back to the front of that bottom lane.
Tanner Marty leading it, but not really going anywhere. It's almost like that 29 machine just cannot get pushed. Just as I say that, they get rolling again.
I could be wrong, but I think that 29 was given some gnarly pushes earlier. Perhaps there's some light damage maybe to the front of that race car, which could be slowing that lane down. Remember, even in iRacing, you know, no fast repairs in this league, but just because, you know, all damage is fixed, your car is not 100%. Could that be a factor or something that's preventing this bottom lane from being able to reinsert its dominance from earlier in the race?
It could be, as everybody's kind of bouncing around here towards the back of the field. Samuelson goes up to the high line now. It looks like he's tired of playing in that bottom side, sees the top line moving forward. He's going to try and get around a couple drivers and maybe try and lead this inside lane.
Yeah, I think you're right, Mike. I think Samuelson was, well, calling it quits with the bottom and trying to make new friends on the high side of the racetrack. He takes that Camry up to the top. That's where he runs right now, as everyone's still chasing Austin Call here. at top doing a great job of saying single file, neat and orderly. That's how you're going to get the highest speeds out there on the racetrack, the most momentum, all the energy. Really don't see much of a gap until that 57 being piloted by Larry Miles. And that's probably just only going to be for a moment as they close back up, and that gap is now gone. Sean Rogers, the 44, off the racetrack surface. Currently being scored in that 25th place position. Remember, he was strong early on a recovery mission, not the run he's looking for.
Yeah, no,
see how Rogers.
I'll say got sideswiped there through no fault of his own. So has to try and recover and get some positions here. But we'll see what happens as this race wears on. I mean, we still have just under 50 laps to go.
Yeah, just under 50 laps to go, and this is when the intensity starts to pick up. Friends go away. Drivers, gentlemen's agreement get thrown out the window, and it's every man for themselves. We haven't quite hit that hour yet, but it's looming in the near future. In fact, you can start to see the pushes becoming just a little bit harder. These drivers trying to, make a statement or keep the positions that they have out there, trying to disrupt the flow of traffic where earlier, it was a lot more give and take.
Yeah, this outside line is just running away with the momentum here as this inside just can't seem to get going. Got Marty down on the inside. Looks like he's got Richard Pruitt behind him. Michael Witt. But they're just not going anywhere. They're kind of stalled out here. Looks like they need to swap lead cars to see if they can maybe get something working here, but we'll see what happens here. Is we do know they'll have to make one pit stop. It's all going to be a matter of when they decide to come down.
Right, so the money stop looming. How many times have we seen that snake pit drivers here at Daytona? That stop, obviously the most critical. You want it to be perfect. And obviously how well you execute that pit stop could have a big determining factor in how you finish this race. Should we stay under green flag conditions? And that is a key word. Because oftentimes here at Daytona, we set it off big at the end. Michael Witt continues to have a strong run here in that 10th place position in the 88.
Yeah, it's going to be a matter of time till somebody decides to push it 3 wide and make a run. Because that inside line is, like I said, just kind of stagnant here. It's about even with the 57 of Larry Miles, and then just can't go anywhere further.
I'm surprised they haven't tried to cycle a different car there in front of the 29 of Tanner Marty. Just because you're really hurting everyone right now. You cannot just get up there to compete and contend with that outside lane. And from Marty's perspective, if he doesn't want to do that, you still have plenty of time. If you know how to generate runs here at Daytona, these guys do. You still have plenty of time to get back up there, to throw your hand into the ring for this thing. But right now, they need to try and cycle a different Chevrolet there to the point, or just a different race car there leading that line to see if that makes a difference.
Yeah, it looks like they start to get formed up, and then the line just doesn't have any momentum. Samuelson almost gives the 33 of... I say that's the 33 of Kinrama, bad push there as well. So
I mean, you can see just how hard the 24 of Richard Pruitt at times is having to work and just give the business to Marty to keep him where he is on the racetrack. They're making some ground now, but that's because, he was just laying it to him. Probably harder than he wanted to this, at this point in time of the race as well.
it looks like when he gets there, he's able to push him, but just not enough to go anywhere.
Then you have a
It
lap
looks
car
like they're
there.
3 wide now. Looks like the 24 is going to try and cycle to the front. Put the 29 in the middle. He's in the middle. Samuelson on the high side. Almost into the rear bumper there of Ken Rom as they come through the corner.
They almost slapped hands there as Samuelson got cycled to the middle. Let's see now, after this bottom lane regroups and reforms, if they're able to make some ground. And in fact, after all of that, am I seeing this correctly?
It was the exact same, except for now the 33 jumped out in front. Now everybody's just bailing on the 29. Everybody's like, 29, you can't be up front. Get behind us.
Yeah, that definitely seems to be the consensus out there from the other drivers on the racetrack. I mean, that's a pretty, if I'm in the race car and I see that, well, hey, that's telling me, hey, we need you to change some things up that you're doing right now because you're hurting all of us out there.
High side, single filed out now.
The bottom trying to get troops and get reformed up here. Looks like now the 31. The Mike Skinner throwback. Except he's got Harbor Freight on the side of that race car.
31 a lap down. 59 a lap down.
That's cool.
But they are leading this bottom line, and they were coming towards the front.
They were. So that may actually prove my theory right there. That perhaps the 29 just has some damage to that race car and just does not have what it takes to lead at the point. In fact, those two lap cars there, Regal included, those guys a lap down. But Mike, hey, they're up here, part of this fight, at the point, and we've seen this at Daytona a time or two, playing a factor.
The 4 cars on the bottom side are all a lap down. Wilco, Mack, Regal, they are running with these up here with these leaders.
Heavens to Betsy, that is Wilco. Well, let's throw another twister little kick in this race. There you go. But like Mike said, hey, they're up there being competitive, trying to make back ground on lap themselves the hard way. Can't get a break out there on the racetrack. Well, there goes that. As now the 57, who is on the lead lap, is going to cut down in front of the 62. Now you have a Toyota leading that bottom. Let's see what happens when you put a TRD-powered machine out there at the point.
Well, that bottom line seems to be a lot more formed up than it has been in at least the last 15, 20 laps. We'll see if that's going to make any difference here, or if it's going to require somebody to come up with a grinder to separate the 40 and the 93, as they are all over each other, just shoving away.
Well, that's the other thing too. The outside lane has really good cars and drivers right now being featured. With the 40 of Colin Hodison, you got the Dent Slayer, Paul Hill in third working there. The list goes on, but now they break from the high side because they seen the bottom coming and they take it back down. I can't catch a break like Hodison just did. I can. He was able to come down as well, like someone left him a parking spot at the front of the grocery store.
Yeah, he was stuck in the high line all by himself, like he was the last to get the memo, and he was able to get down in front of that 57 of Larry Miles. Lucky for him, as they have this inside line rolling along once again.
Well, the great mystery of the inside line has been solved. You just needed Austin Call and Paul Hill and company to come on down, and everything's back to normal.
Well, it just goes to show you, if you're lined up correctly and have the right combination of drivers, that line's going to come through no matter what's happening out on track.
Well said, Mike. It's 100% accurate.
Cody McCarkle and Mike McConville in that high lane trying to battle back. Got the 24 behind them, and the 88 lap car pulls down to the inside, going to let these guys race on by.
'62 there as well. Remember, that driver currently scored a lap down. We're getting a big shot there from Mike McConville. In that one machine, Diego Rodriguez. Richard Pruitt, 81 of Samuelson. Side by side here. Samuelson runs in that 10th place position. Dave Riegel holding on, well, was the caboose. However, we're kind of shuffling around near the back. Got some of those drivers now decided they want to make friends with the bottom lane again. Bobby Anderson also teams up with that group of cars as well. And just behind him, hopefully he doesn't want to flirt with losing the draft, that's going to be the 28.
And Brian Tarnowski started this restart on the front row. Now he is 16th as he rolls along here. He is going to have to come to pit lane about 10 laps before any of these other drivers, as he stayed out last time on lap 89 was the last time he went down pit lane.
So that's something we're going to have to keep an eye on. He's not going to be able to go the distance. He will have to stop for fuel. So some of these guys, go ahead.
I believe everybody's going to have to stop for fuel, but everybody's going to be pushing it as far as they can, trying to get to that probably 45 lap, like 145-ish. They might pit early, though, and as I say that, everybody's pitting.
Perks of being a broadcaster. You just conduct the whole race at times.
Just split it in half. I knew they were going to stay out a little bit longer than when they could have made it, because you have the overtime as always. We still have pack racing out here on track.
Cody McCorkle in the 78 now takes over the lead as first group of cars down on pit road, getting service potentially for the final time this evening. This is McCorkle. McCorkle took over the lead. The bottom says, hey, not so fast. And I believe that's Larry Mile. Actually, we'll take that back. We have more rounds of more cars coming down pit road. It looks like the 71 is going to stay out. Keith Long is going to take over the lead now. The 57, Larry Miles pushing him.
Aaron Mack out there. Don Wilco in the 62. Looks like Dave Riegel's the tail end of this group. So 2 lead lap cars and 3 lappers out here.
You know, but right now it's not so much does it matter, you know, who's a lap car, who's on the lead lap. You know, they're all working together. Big time move there for the 57. I mean, he just throws it off the racetrack onto pit road. Hopefully he can get that car mowed down in time. But like, you know, even these lap cars right now playing a big factor, helping, you know, these lead lap drivers just with numbers and ranks, because that translates to the speed out there on the racetrack. So right now, you know, they want these lap guys to work with them, you know, here at Daytona, a lot different than you would see almost any other Sunday out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, you want these guys out there to help you, especially if you're that 71 machine, as he is the only lead lap car here, as everybody else is a lap down. See who comes down pit lane this time. None of them.
We're going to stay out for another circuit around this 3.5 mile super speedway. 62, a Wilco there just lost his dancing partner, takes it down to the bottom. Chris Claude there as well. Claude currently being scored in that 23rd position. That Monster Energy Camry.
I'll say Dave was back on the lead lap for a moment.
Yeah, he's out there. He's doing a great job. You know, he's stayed out of the wrecks. He's executing. He's staying in the draft. I'd say a pretty good job. Well done thus far for not being in the race card. I think you said over 2 years, Mike.
Yeah, pretty sure it's been a couple years. I know he tore down his rig and went to strictly broadcasting when he moved into a smaller place. He was able to get that set up, and now he's back out here driving. Doesn't look like he's lost anything out here on track.
That's it. He's out here, you know, doing a heck of a job. The way he was talking, it sounded like he was going to be the first ones, you know, with raining parts into the infield or something along those lines. But it's been quite the opposite. Gets a little off track there. That dirty air out there is a big play, or can affect the trajectory of these cars at times.
Well, the nice thing about the 71 here, working with the drivers that he's worked with, if he comes down for fuel only, he will be close to pitting out basically a P3 or P4 instead of losing, 10 or 15 positions.
Mike, you're reading my mind there. I was getting ready almost to say the same thing, and that's because, he's working, with these other cars that are not on the lead lap right now that are, helping him, maintain his pace and his speed out there on the racetrack. A huge advantage, for the 71 right now. We'll continue to monitor that situation as most of the other drivers have completed their pit stops. Last down on lap 128 or 129. Waiting on Keith Long and Gangler. Last down on lap 98. As they currently continue to lead or run here at the front, I should say.
Yeah, he has a almost 36-second lead over third place right now, and that's Paul Hill.
That is an eternity out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, if you spend 5 seconds in your pit box, you could be down and back on the track in 33 seconds. So we'll see if that's gonna play to his advantage, because the longer he stays out, the less time he needs to stay in his pit box. If he can have that magic fuel calculator calculated to exactly what he needs, as we're working inside, just outside of 20 to go.
Well, that's a great point, Mike. The less go fast and less Sunoco Racing fuel he's going to need to put in that race car, less time on pit road. Another thing he's got working for him too, just like you said, as he continues to stay out there and grind it out here at Daytona. As we've gotten separated here as green flag pit stops currently underway. That's really kind of stretched the field out, especially as a couple drivers here working with this pack of cars that are a lap down continue to churn out there on the racetrack. Paul Hill still in that third place position. However, he is in the next county over, north of over 30 seconds off the lead pace right now. However, that will all change quick, fast, and in a hurry once these drivers do make their way to pit road.
Definitely. Well, with that being said, and where we're at on track, we're going to step aside, take our final commercial break. We'll come back and bring you all of the final action here of the Stacy Strong Cup Series when we get back right after this.
There's a new approach to lawn care, Preen One Lawn Care. Preen One does away with the hassle of multiple bags of different products. It has everything you need for a beautiful lawn in one bag. And all it takes is one application. For season-long weed control and feeding, apply the granules when the lawn is wet and weeds are actively growing. It blocks crabgrass all season. It prevents crabgrass seeds from growing. It kills the seedlings too, even when applied 4 weeks after they sprout. It's your best defense against tough weeds like dandelion, chickweed, henbit, and hundreds more. Plus, its slow-release formula feeds the lawn evenly for months to build stronger roots for maximum heat and drought resistance. Green One delivers convenience and better performance in one package with one application. Spend more time enjoying your lawn and less time working on it. Green One, and it's done. It's a lawn dream come true.
Imagine a theater experience so real you're part of the action. Breakthrough technology that shakes your seat at precisely the right moment so you can feel the action on the screen. Choose 4D Cinemas powered by Butt Kicker for the ultimate theater experience. And for the ultimate in movies, gaming, and sports at home, add your own Butt Kicker. A simple, wireless, affordable device that takes just seconds to install. Text the word on the screen right now to receive a special offer. Get Butt Kicker and feel what you've been missing.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Stacy Strong Cup Series. Our final driver come in to the pits. So that has definitely shook up the race here. Paul Hill is going to be leading with Ryan Samuelson behind him. Tanner Marty back there as well. Here comes Bobby Anderson running P5. Has a host of cars behind him as he's working to get back to the front as well. About a little over 3.5 seconds gap between themselves and the leaders here. These 4 cars can stay together. They will be the top 4 here with 19 laps to go.
Under 20 laps now remaining. And Mike, it's starting to shape up like, and probably the minute I say this, it's all gonna go to pieces. But we could not see a late race caution here and have a less uneventful in the highlight reel wrecking department, and these 4 guys here battling it out for the win here.
Yeah, as long as everybody minds their P's and Q's, that's exactly what we're going to see here. But Samuelson is giving Hill the business here as he is just all over that back bumper, trying to shove him out even farther to the lead.
Oh, that's because Ryan Samuelson knows there's a bigger pack of cars that's looming. Probably I think it's about 6 or 7 seconds back right now. Bobby Hill in that group of cars as he's currently in 5th. You have Tyler Hunter, Hodison, Diego Rodriguez and company, Kavaja Holt. He knows that there's a lot of fast cars that can make up time on the racetrack. They know how to do it. They've proven they can do it. So he is shoving him like there is no tomorrow right now. In fact, there's that second group of cars is they put Big Bobby B out in front there. Let him lead the charge in that Dark Horse Mustang. So you can see they're getting in formation, getting ready to hit the afterburner. Do they have enough time to get there? That's a big question mark. As they were kind of doing the Indy snake there, coming off the corner as we send it back up here to the front now.
Looking at the lap time difference between the fourth place car, which is Cody McCorkle, and the fifth place Bobby Anderson. The lap times kind of flop back and forth.
You know, this is probably one of the perks of an open setup race, because I know in a fixed set, four next gens aren't going to be able to keep pace with a pack of cars with 2 to 3x the amount, as long as they're staying single file. But these four are doing a heck of a job here.
They lost they lost basically a quarter of a second that lap. So it's now under 3 seconds back to the lead car of that second group. As we see that,
they are coming.
They are bouncing around. Samuelson got a run, didn't want to run over Paul Hill, went up to the high side, and then got back in line. But that is not going to be something they want to have happen momentarily.
No, it's not. I mean, the last thing, these guys want to see is a flag. They want to see the checkered flag. They don't want to see a yellow flag. They don't want to see any other flags right now. They want this race to run out. And they just got to keep doing what they're doing right now. Just stay, just single, thread the needle here. Try not to fan out. Just stay tucked in, stay in formation.
Yeah, and it will come down to whether or not the 81 machine of Ryan Samuelson has to duck out to catch some air, cool down that car, as he was pushing with all he could there. Maybe they'll do a little leapfrog action here, as you see that second pack has come into the view, and they are starting to close in a hurry. And then once they catch that draft, there is nothing this lead pack can do to stop them.
Mike, a couple weeks ago I was in this very similar situation in Racers Elite Super Speedway Series, where I was having to push the bejesus out of one of my just dance partner on the racetrack to try to do exactly what Bobby Anderson and company's doing right now. And these guys have some serious, they got some serious energy wound up right now. That last time by Bobby Anderson ran a 45.91 to Paul Hill's 46.16. Currently working lap 148, so we're still north of 10 laps to go. This race could get very interesting here on a couple final laps. In fact, I take that back. Hill has really kicked on the afterburner. They are almost in the same frame as they have a bead set. Caution on the racetrack. Are you kidding me? Take the notebook, crumple it up, throw it out the window. This changes everything. We're going to need some more popcorn up here in the booth. It's about to get good, Mike.
That was going to be an electric run down there. And now it is just going to restack them and let them go.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be all-out trench warfare now from everyone on the racetrack. I'm not sure what went wrong here.
Oh. Again.
Oh my God.
Whoa.
Well, that'll do it.
Well, I don't want to say anything, but I believe
You believe?
that is Dave Regal. That the 62 went off the nose of there.
Perhaps he was listening to our Kelly's I Believe I Can Fly. I don't know. Granted, the maybe he just KO'd 2 race cars there.
Well, it looked like the 62 was kind of bouncing up and down the track as well. So, I mean, it looked like all of them weren't holding the steadiest of lines. Looked like Dave got a little run there as the 62 went down to the inside. 62 went to try and get back up in line, and it just wasn't there.
Well, the question is, was the 62 kind of struggling to hold his line from the brutaling punishment he was getting from Regal? Or is it just, the amount of laps that we've run, these races, yeah, it's sim racing, but force feedback and, if you have enough money in your rig, there's a lot of technology these days that really can replicate the type of strain that a real driver would face inside the cockpit of a race car. You got your settings turned up too high. Sometimes, I know this from racing the Gen 4 car at the old Daytona. I couldn't feel my fingers for the last, 30-40% of the race.
Yeah,
so
that old Daytona track kind of sucks.
Oh my God.
Bouncing all over the place.
Yeah, I don't want to do that again. Like, as fun as that was, I'm no thank you.
We'll get stacked back up. Like about top 13 drivers elected not to come down pit lane, so we'll see how this plays out. Definitely going to help. Well, I'd say it definitely was going to help that second group, but I don't think it really was going to matter. I think that second group was going to catch that draft, and we would have been in for a show. But here we go. Restack them for a 8-lap shootout, 9-lap shootout.
Short track, hometown shootout style here from Daytona to write this one in the books. Who's going to win this thing, folks? Your guess is as good as anybody. Paul Hill has put himself in position to win this race. He's been a dominant car out there for a majority of this race. Ryan Samuelson, the deep threat, he has come from all the way in the back. He started 39th. If he would have started 40, you could literally say right now he's went from worst to first, or second. Sorry, excuse me. Then you have Bobby Anderson. Had a race last night here at this racetrack where trouble found him and took him out of the race after a dominant performance. Does he get redemption? He sits there in that 5th place position. And quite frankly, if we start to see a trend here of cautions breed cautions, we get into overtime, anyone has as good a shot to win this race. It all really depends what happens once we get back up to speed and start counting down these final laps. How do these drivers play? Do they play nice? Do they just start, sending everyone to the moon? A lot of question marks. We'll have the answers to momentarily.
Hopefully everybody plays nice. But that never happens at Daytona. Somebody will get a shove somewhere that won't be quite square, and away we'll go once again. But we'll see if Paul Hill or Ryan Samuelson can win. Paul Hill basically said he was out here by himself after teammates were knocked out of the race early. A couple guys in the chat cheering for Hill, saying he deserves a win. Ryan Samuelson trying to be the biggest mover with the greatest gain here as he started basically shotgun on the field and is looking to finish in victory lane.
And I agree with those guys in the comments. Paul Hill, phenomenal talent, great driver. A couple races he's been robbed of. certainly deserving. Pace car is going to bail into the Geico restart zone. A little bit of a delayed start there. However, back under green flag conditions once again. You can see the 6 trying to drag the throttle there just a little bit. Doesn't want to jump too far out ahead, and picks up the 29. And the mean M&M's machine piloted by Bobby Anderson.
Yeah, looks like the 6 was trying to get to the 18. We saw them work really well together for the first stage. Just the 29 not letting that happen, as he is stuck right to the back bumper of the 6.
It's going to be tough to get around this that Dent Slayer machine, especially having Marty and Hill behind him. If they can stay teamed up with those cars in a close proximity to each other, how they are right now, they're going to be tough. We know, we've seen over the course of this race how well, or how good the performance is, as we're 3 wide behind the single file group of cars here at the front.
Yeah, Keith Long, Chris Davis stuck in the middle right now as they're working their way through. 3 wide is not something you want to see if you're up front here, as he is still stuck in the middle, is Chris Davis. He's going to go down to the inside, and we are back to 2 wide, but we'll jump back up front. Paul Hill, Tanner Marty, and Bobby Anderson, the top 3.
There is a big-time move there, Michael. You were talking from Mike McConville. Look, he was figure 8 racing out there. He found a little crack of daylight on the bottom. He had to go up, down, and then down to get there. But I was worried there was going to be a little extra activity. But he was able to fit that car in there. In fact, he's back to the high side of the racetrack. So clearly, he is fighting and clawing. He knows the time is now.
Ryan Samuelson was down on the bottom. Saw McConville make his way to the high side. He jumped up in front of him, and they're going to try and work together to get back up towards the front. Just nothing quite doing here as they're kind of stalled out. Looks like Brian Tarnowski has not been able to close that gap on the bottom side either. Looks like Diego Rodriguez is slowly starting to reel in the 93. 5 to go. Handshake lap it is as we head down the backstretch.
Down the backstretch here at Daytona. These drivers, no give, all take right now. That is the mindset on the racetrack. Tanner Marty giving all the biscuits to the Dent Slayer, everything that he's got. Gets a great shove there. Remember, that 29 did not perform well out in front. I don't think he'll be the one to try and pull out when it comes time. You send it off into the tube. Go ahead.
I don't think he will. I think he'll stay right with whoever's in front of him unless he tries to pull out. If he tries to pull out, I imagine we're going to see him go into the back. And just as we say that, Bobby Anderson goes to the high side. Paul Hill jumps up with him, and they leave that 29 on the bottom for himself once again.
What a move by the mean machine, Bobby Anderson. He is pulling all the stops out. We got problems in the back. That's going to be a caution flag, as we have parts raining down from the heavens.
Austin Call.
Oh my God! Did you see the face-first head-on contact for the 57 of Larry Miles? He just took the shot of a lifetime. Brace yourself, folks at home. This is just wait.
3 wide. Well, the 57, the 6 goes around. 71. Austin Call. Then you said the 57 got taken?
Just watch. Watch this. He got Boom! Matt Mackin. Are you freaking kidding me?
Matt Mackin did
Mike-
not hit the brakes at all.
Matt Mackin wrote a new chapter of ARCA braking right there. And in the words of Tony Trapasso, nobody administers a car to the face like the driver of the 01. And Matt Mackin's a good dude. I love him to death. But I mean, he just says, you know what? I am sending you to meet your maker right here, right now. I don't believe it.
So anyway, green-white checker, NASCAR overtime.
I like how we calmly just moved on from that Tomahawk missile that was served up there.
Well, he had to have been like halfway around the track before that happened.
It's Daytona.
Yeah.
Things happen that just we can't explain sometimes.
But definitely took out the 57 and the 01. They will not be back on track for this green-white checker.
And I was, personally, outside of having the broadcasters hat on right now, I was happy for Matt. He was out there still in competition. He was running the clean race car. And then he comes through once again for Tony. The first time he said that, Mike, he had me on the ground. I mean, I had to get a spatula to scrape myself back up. I was dead.
That is one. that is one thing Tony was definitely good at. Right off the cuff, it didn't matter.
Right? It didn't matter. I know. And he's definitely showed me it was okay to throw a little bit of my swagger in there at times. And I do it here and there, nowhere near like he does. But I mean, I was crying. I had to stay muted for probably 3 minutes to get myself refocused. I mean, he just KO'd me. It was he was famous for doing.
Yeah, first time I got thrown on a broadcast was with him. So it's like, whoa, wait, what? What did you just say? We can say that?
Yeah, the first race I called with him, I didn't say much because I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought maybe I was like, man, I might be getting fired after this race, to be quite honest with you. I didn't know. I didn't have any prior experience. And I mean, while it was great, I'm like, man, he is just, he's being raw and just letting it fly. Come to find out, hey, man, one of the best in the business at doing that. And had so much fun up in the broadcast booth with him. Him and I called a lot of the Moonshiners Racing League action here for a tour on SNN. And he is greatly missed, especially in moments like those, because that would just give Tony all the more fuel for him to turn it up even more here near the end of these races.
Oh, definitely.
And here's Bobby Anderson. Can it be a Cinderella story for this guy?
Paul Hill trying to get the win he desperately wants.
Deserves,
yeah. Tyler
He
Hunter,
is-
Tane Hodgson back there as well. Diego Rodriguez. And he's Buddy's race, as always, here at Daytona.
That's why, love it or hate it. That's what I personally like about this type of racing.
Pace car's going to make that left-hand turn, and we're going to be back under green flag conditions. Paul Hill, Bobby Anderson going to lead him through that Geico restart zone. We are down and away. Both of the drivers stay about even with each other. Paul Hill did not get any help from the back end. Looks like they kind of elected to drop down to the inside. Paul Hill slide drafting for all he can, trying to stay right with the 18 and the 69 there.
What a side drafting job by the Dead Slayer of Machine of Paul Hill as we squirt a race car off the racing surface. He's still trying to hang on to it. He catches it. We stay green for now in the outside lane, being led by Paul Hill, who had no help, side drafting for his life, picked up a rocket ship in the form of Ryan Samuelson, and it has catapulted him to the front in overtime. As we got another car in the fence on the high side of the racetrack, he's going to keep it up out of the groove, or out of the lane, I should say.
White flag, final lap, and here we go. Paul Hill, Ryan Samuelson going to be battling here. Bobby Anderson trying to get some help, goes down in front of the one of Mike McConville as he's going to try and push his way as they head down the backstretch for the final time tonight. Where are we going to end up here, Matt?
Paul Hill leads, but here comes the Mean Green Machine piloted by Bobby Anderson. He had a run going there, but Samuelson now glued to the back bumper of Hill's race car. The Dead Slayer man has the plan coming out of turn number 4 for the final time. Samuelson to the outside. Here comes the Dead Slayer Machine to the bottom, side by side. At the line is going to be Samuelson. Robs the 6 once again as he gets the shove and he gets shot across to the checkered flag. Big time moment for Ryan Samuelson as he wins at Daytona.
That was a heck of a job by the 81 machine, up 39 spots.
Wow.
But we had a couple instances there that could have brought out the caution if not for the drivers who were able to keep it straight. Diego Rodriguez gets a bad bump there from Brian Tornowski as we head into 1 and 2 of the final, the second to last lap. And then you have, look like it was the 00 get pushed up into the wall. So heads up driving allowed us to finish this with 1 green white check.
Ryan Samuelson is out there getting all the good out of those Goodyear Eagles, doing donuts Earnhardt style through the grass. And I'll tell you what, for the driver of the 81, if at first you don't succeed, being last night, try again. And he was able to come up with a big time run and get it to that start or that finish line first. Samuelson, your winner. He was 1 spot away from going worst to first. Absolutely terrific job by that driver here tonight, Mike.
Amazing. We had 41 drivers register, 40 get to take the grid, and he started 39th.
Against, a field this good. I mean, that says a lot about what Ryan Samuelson accomplished here tonight.
Let's go ahead and see if we can bring up our P3 driver here. I'll let you go ahead and talk to him, Matt.
Paul Hill, Mike and Matt up in the Tony Trapasso Memorial booth. You got a copy there, bud?
Yes, sir, I do.
Well, Paul, once again, you have that Dead Slayer machine out there at the front of this race, making a name for yourself, making it exciting. You come so close.
Yeah.
Obviously, you come so close. What was the difference you think tonight that could have been the key change from, coming in third versus winning this race, which I personally thought you were going to do?
So, I mean, I didn't have any teammates. All my teammates got wrecked out. So shout out Ryan Samuelson. I kind of linked up with him and was makeshift, bird of a feather. He needed a friend. I needed a friend. So there on that last lap, I could have thrown a really big block and risked wrecking us, and, Tanner or Bobby back there in fourth getting the win. And so when he made that move with all that momentum, I didn't want to do anything drastic. And, he got the win, and good on him. I'm glad he got it. He was an awesome makeshift teammate. So I can't thank him enough. Being out there as a one man army, it's almost impossible to win these things nowadays here, Atlanta, Talladega. So I'm pretty happy with a third. I can't really complain, honestly.
No, that certainly speaks to the level of skill that you have as a driver. You're always in the conversation here in the Stacy Strong Cup Series. You mentioned a makeshift teammate. Just the man, another competitor of opportunity at that point in time. To put yourself in this position. How are you able to work with someone on the fly dynamically like that you don't necessarily have a lot of experience working with? Is it just completely luck in that situation that you two are going to vibe or try to be on the same page and make your dash to the front?
Yeah, a little bit. I know Ryan in passing from Team Conti Sim Performance. Shout out them as well for the set. He also runs with them. So I've seen him in passing in a couple races here, official races. So I kind of knew his caliber of driver, and he's really solid, really great guy. So I knew we would get along pretty well, and he could hold a push and I could handle one of his pushes. And, I'm glad we got that solid finish for both of us.
Absolutely, Paul. And before I cut you loose, who do you want to thank? Who helps you get it done on that Dent Slayer 6?
I want to shout out Ryan for being a makeshift teammate tonight. Team Conti Sim Performance, Dent Slayer, you guys up in the booth, and Chris as well for putting on the lead.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, Paul Hill was a strong factor here at Daytona. He had a car that could send all to the front and completely dominate at times. A complete thrilling finish here, coming down to the wire, working with makeshift teammate Ryan Samuelson. Comes up just a little bit short, but nonetheless flexes here at Daytona once again. Comes home third, driver of the 6. That is Paul Hill. Thanks for joining us up here in the booth, buddy.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
You too.
Jump on over here and talk to Tanner. Hey, Tanner, Mike up in the booth, man. How's it going?
Good, Mike. How are you guys?
Oh, not too bad. Well, you were able to work your way towards the front. Looked like you might have had a little bit of damage there to the front, as you weren't the more dominant driver in the front of a line, but you could push anybody. How was the car out there tonight?
It was good. It was very fast. Yeah, I struggled to find some kind of consistency in the lead. Just felt like I had a little too soft of a rear end. Anytime I got shoved, it kind of just collapsed. I think I lost a lot of my speed and being able to carry my momentum there. But shoving, it felt really good. All the confidence in the world there. It stuck, and I just had to make sure I hit him square and gave him time to carry that momentum before I applied it again.
Yeah, definitely. It looked like you were inside, outside, didn't really matter. You were able to push almost anybody towards the front. You found yourself behind the 6 as you guys were working that final lap. Any thoughts on what you could have maybe done a little bit different to try and get Samuelson there at the end?
I probably should have gone with oh my goodness, Robert. I probably should have gone with Robert on the block. I got wadded up a little bit too much in front of me, and I knew it was coming. I should have gone with him and seen if he stuck with me, but besides that, I don't think I had much for Ryan after that. I think my only opportunity to get one there was when Robert went to throw it on the outside there coming out of 4. But besides that, I was sticking with Ryan there. Hopefully get him in a win, get him in the playoffs.
Well, he definitely got the win. He finished up 39 spots, so heck of a drive from him. Heck of a drive from you. Anybody you want to thank before we get you out of here tonight?
I want to thank my teammates Dalton, Mobley, and Ken Ron. Dalton put together a really good set this week, and I can't thank him enough for the time he put in. And yeah, you guys have seen the broadcast, and Chris for the race.
Definitely
appreciate all you guys.
congrats once again, and maybe we'll talk to you later in the season.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
You too. That will leave us with the race winner. Matt, I'll let you talk to Ryan here.
Ryan the Rocket Samuelson, Matt and Mike up in the booth. You got a copy there, bud.
I do. What's up, man?
Well, hey, man. Last night, a very similar setup in Bobby's league. Last night had a rocket ship of a race car, took it to the front. However, things happened on the racetrack that took you out of the race. You rinse, wash, repeat. You almost literally go from worst to first and score the victory here at Daytona. How were you able to keep your car out of the chaos and obviously get some wicked speed out of that 81 machine and take it to the front in a thrilling fashion when it counted?
I know I had this little voice from yesterday from a guy named like Matt Melter. I don't know if you know him, but he was
No,
kind of crap
no
talking to
idea.
me yesterday after how I blew the opportunity I win last night. So I had that kind of building up inside me, and that kind of motivated me to go out there and go harder and kind of learn from my mistakes. So I thank you, by the way. But no, just kind of keeping yourself out of trouble. I mean, it's super tough. I was getting really frustrated, like early in the stage, going from 40th, and then wondering why we're 12 seconds back from the front of the pack and all that. But like, you make it's pretty easy to make friends out there, and when you get a couple of people who are like, hey, okay, I like racing with you. Okay, you're pretty nice. Like, shout out to Paul Hill for just kind of trusting in faith and believing in me towards the end of the race. We felt like our bumpers just connected together, and it just, he was very nice. Didn't need to, didn't try to wreck me once he knew I was gonna make the move. He wasn't like, I'm not gonna wreck you for that. Like, so I appreciate that. But yeah, it's astonishing. So.
Yeah, astonishing. It may be a little bit of an understatement. You started 40th position tonight. Was that by design or was there a qualifying miscue? And the reason I ask that is, I mean, you came to the front like a rocket and against a very good group of individuals. I mean, yeah, I know it's plate racing. These are some darn good drivers here in this series. And you were able to make it known early that, hey, I'm someone that you guys are going to want to work with. And you had the right moves in the race car to bring it up here. How were you able just to execute and come from the back so quick? I mean, you were up inside the top 10 in virtually no time.
Yeah, it wasn't intentional to start 40th. It was went and saw the Deadpool movie, got home, ate dinner, quickly jumped on with like 5 minutes to spare. Realized I was starting 40th. Got a quick practice of like how difficult it was going to pit in that very first pit stall, which was super difficult, and just limit the mistakes on pit road. I felt that was a big thing, big part of the strategy, and just trying to get any track position I could get, like knowing when not to pit, just kind of knowing the fuel stages. Again, going over my notes from last night, like you mentioned, and like I don't need to pit there. I can take fuel, this amount of fuel, and it worked out great for us. I was able to the first kind of green flag run we had in the middle of the second stage, where I was able to jump a lot of people and get in position to potentially win a stage. End up not doing so, but like just getting those track position, like whether it be pit road, not paying, all that stuff. So that was kind of part of it, and just find the right times. Trust me, it was frustrating. With seeing the different lanes moving, you're just not able to go anywhere. So.
Yeah, but you were able to adapt and overcome. I mean, you executed, had to do so many things. I mean, virtually perfect here tonight. And in fact, Paul Hill shouted you out in his interview, wanted to thank you for being a great Daytona teammate out there on the racetrack late. He said you were perfect, and a lot of thanks to you for his finish in that third place position. But Ryan, before we cut you loose, man, who do you want to thank who helps you get it done on that 81?
I think you guys for putting on a great show. Again, you for the motivation. Literally, that was what I was thinking the entire race. I'm not even kidding about that. So thank you for the extra add motivation. Run more. Brick and mortar store out in Maryland. Get your new shoes there. And yeah, Team Conti sets, all that. And one little thing, the restart, that was a dream. That was a dream restart scenario. I did not, if I could have played that last restart out anyway, that would have been the way I wanted, and it happened exactly as I was thinking. So, yeah, but yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Samuelson takes a little bit of some inspirational motivation that I gave him from last night's race, uses it for some serious fuel here tonight at Daytona, was able to come from the next county over up against some of the best drivers, on this inside of iRacing on this sim tonight. Stay out of the cartage, make all the calls at the right time, put his car in the right position, gets a restart of a lifetime in overtime, and is able to take the big win at the big house. That is the 81 of Ryan Samuelson. Heck of a job tonight, man. Look forward to watching your race next week. You have a great rest of the evening, bud.
You too, man. Always a pleasure.
Mike, I'll send it back up top to you. And who would have thought I did something good for once?
It's amazing what broadcaster motivation can do. So let's see here. We got Ryan Samuelson, Tanner Marty, Paul Hill, 1, 2, 3. Mike McConville brings up P4. Bobby Anderson falls a little short. Top 5 for him. Tyler Hunter, Michael Witt, Payne Hodison, and Austin Call. Brian Ternowski with a top 10. Cody McCorkle. And then you have Chris Davis, 11 and 12th. 13th, Kavaja Holt, John Kelly, Aaron Mack, Chris Claude round out that top 16. Logan Gisbrick and Alexander Gringler round out that top 18. Diego Rodriguez, Richard Pruitt, Dave Regal just outside the top 20, finishing 21st. First car a lap down. John Wilco, Steve Haring, Keith Long, Larry Miles, Ken Ron, Matt Mackin, Ron Fitting, the top 28. 29th is Mark Johnson, Sean Rogers in 30th, Eric Papineau in 31st, John Crow Sr. and Dalton Mobley 32nd, 33rd. Michael Caffrey and Rich Jett round out the top 35. Matthew Gaskins, Jeff Carson, and Chris Custer, after winding up on his lid, rounds out 38th. Randall Watkins and Timothy Cook, the drivers that took the grid. Well, that is the race results. Anything you want to say before we get out of here tonight, Matt?
Another excellent job and display of perfection on the racetrack once again by these guys here in the Stacy Strong Cup Series. Chris Claude has done such a heck of a job putting this league together. And, I don't know how he gets, the drivers that he does. I'm sure a lot of it now is by some great word of mouth because he has some of the elites here already, but just continues to do a phenomenal job, with this league and all the other league under the SNN umbrella. I plan on running the Daytona race tomorrow night after watching 2 great nights in a row for me of some great back-to-back plate racing here. And how about these guys tonight, though? The ones that really were clutch when they needed to be. Ryan Samuelson coming from all the way in the back, had to make all the right moves at the right time, was able to be patient when he needed to be, and then, using his words, got the restart of a lifetime and found the perfect dance partner there in Paul Hill and was able to accomplish, which less than 24 hours ago, denied him here tonight in the Stacy Strong Cup Series. Just a terrific job by Ryan Samuelson and these guys. But other than that, I'm going to take this headset off, Mike, because calling 2 back-to-back 100%ers, that's a little taxing on the vocal cords, man.
Definitely is. But with that being said, don't forget to tune in tomorrow night. I believe Parker is planning on running tomorrow night, so you saw him yesterday in the Cup Series give a push to the 21 of Harrison Burton. We'll see if Parker Resloff can continue his dominance of the Monday Night NASCAR Series. But with that being said, from all the drivers of the Sunday Night NASCAR Stacy Strong Cup Series, and all of us here at Sim Racing Media, I want to wish you guys a good night. And we'll see you next time, everybody.